so much for stopping by. We closing out Pyre today. Or so Gwen said last time. So yeah. But thanks so much everyone for stopping by. Hi Gwen. Hi King. Hi Greg. Well, thanks for stopping by. And yeah. Also nice on finishing up Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. I hope you had a wonderful time. I would say I want to get around to it, and I do. But man, I have so many other games to play that are taking much higher precedence in my mind, and not nearly enough time to play them all. So I will probably never get around to Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. But yeah. We are going to try and finish up Pyre today. We don't yet know if this is the final sequence of rites. It might be, it may not be. At most, there's 2, because we only have 4 party members. And Bertrude's gonna get 0 action today, because I need Volfred to max out here. Because I think this one, it has to be this one or the next one have to be the final liberation, right? Which means I've got to let Volfred go. And the only way that's going to happen is likely if Volfred stays well and above Bertrude. So yeah, Bertrude's probably not going to get to see a whole lot of anything happen today. Just going to be Tizo, Faye, and Volfred carrying us through. And I'm not going to go for... I'm not going to be going for any of the... yeah, I'm not going for any of the challenges. Or for the Titan difficulty increasers. Because yeah, at this point I'm just like, I want to get the platinum trophy, and I probably will at some point in time, but I think at this point I want the story to go the way I want it to go, more so than I want to get the trophies. Also, yeah, Greg did make it harder for K-Mac to get to planned streams, because you're the one who kept the spare sands as an option, still as a channel point reward for the longest time. So now you have to return to Undertale. Alright, we go. Onward towards freedom mission. At dawn, your companions are prepared to depart. Everyone is silent. Your travels are to take you back to the Hulk of Horus, but soon after, the stars shall draw you here again. No one redeemed it, especially once you got it. Yeah. But nope. Greg decided to save all of it. Faye senses the presence of the 8 scribes. Sends an unusual presence here, bearing word of your adversary. Or, you got a third option. Tizo believes this is the fastest route you can have vocations. Is it probably best to just have us get vocations? Yeah, I can kind of just guarantee that Volfred will be maxed out. Stream's lasting longer now that I'm not at work for who knows how long, so Spareless Sands will probably go up to 100,000. Well, once you get back to Sands, then it won't be a problem. Then you can literally just hop on in, get through the first phase of Sands and spare them, and then done. But you gotta get back there first. Let's just have vocations. Let's get Volford up even further. You spend a quiet afternoon in the sprawling waters of Ragged Rock, surveying the area with some of your companions. Ragged Rock, the north current Ford Stormwall passes by old carcasses of ships long gone. Holds the downside record for most shipwreck costs. Nice. Scrawl. Tizo's wondering if there's anything of note in the surrounding area. We have discovered a not of any consequence. Hi, Era. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks, auto-finishing text when a lot of the other game decides to be not auto-completing text. Your investigation used nothing of note. The three of you return to the wagon for the remainder of the day, where you should have time to pursue your location. In the middle of cooking, so back to lurk. I've been doing so since before stream. Even so, nice. Have a good cook and lurk there. You'll have to let us know how the dinner goes. Hi, Tizo. You observe Tizo rummaging about the black wagon, as though in search for something. He notices you there and rushes up to greet you. Krahi. Tizo is glad that you are here. He was just reminiscing about old times. Heck! Montana! Thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. Welcome, everyone. Hi, Title Beast. Welcome. Yeeting a love pill. Is that what that is? Sure is. Sure is. How was this stream? I hope it was a good one. Tizo's looking for something a former exile of the Nightwings once gave him. Krahum. He is growing frustrated that the object he seeks is nowhere to be found. Hi, Dr. Fatkin. Well, you almost do not notice the lone minstrel's approach. I'm afraid that is gone, Tizo. I'm sorry. Short, good, nice. Nothing wrong with a short, good strip. Also, hi, boy. In HD as well. Oh, nice. You got to play through the 7 remake. Hope you enjoy it. Combat looks like really up my alley, so. But I haven't played the demo. I just watched K-Mac do it. So I'll probably just wait until the actual game comes out, and then I'll be able to. And then I'll just play through the actual game and learn the combat in the rest of the game, even though the demo is literally the tutorial. You loved it? Nice. Reader, it is nothing that ought to be cause for much concern. Merely that Tizo has misplaced something of sentimental value today. Oh, geez. Okay, well, I'm going to have to read through that later. There's a lot to learn, but you're excited. Final Fantasy is your jam. I believe we have had many Final Fantasy discussions throughout Barry's stream and the extended Barry's community and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm very excited. There's just the spare bandage he indicates, exactly like the one on his horse. Tizo here has had many adventures at the Nightwings. Is that not so, Tizo? He squawks in approval. Those memories shall always stay with you. Is that not what matters most of all? He confirms this as well. And please do not worry yourself about it anymore. It is a symbol of a distant past. Besides, Tizo skulks away up into the rafters. The lone minstrel watches him go. Thank you, Fontaine. As are you. Very good flavor. The object that he seeks does not exist, reader. Tizo searches for it from a fleeting memory of his days with the Nightwings of the past. He performed the regular duties of other drive imps at first, but soon distinguished himself. I was none too surprised. He was clearly special. He had grown close with the other members of the Nightwings when misfortune fell, and the triumvirate fell apart. Perhaps Volford has revealed to you more of the details. As for Tizo, I feel he must make peace with the shadows of his past somehow. Perhaps, then, he shall cease searching. You need not worry for him, of course. He is resilient and shall always serve the Nightwings well. You might say that he was born. Begging your pardon, Peter. The lone minstrel excuses himself in his polite way, leaving you to consider what he said. No. Tizo got an update. Oh no. Even this. Even this. Oh. Even this. And this. Oh. Very good pup date. Such a very good pup. So very good. Sit very nicely. Pup learning well very quickly. Tizo's. He was born on the downside, yet has not yet had a chance to break Commonwealth law as Mercy. Though guiltless, he indicates that he would commit the foulest crimes against Commonwealth cuisine. Once past tense, not to be subject. Discussion Tizo was born on the downside, though perhaps longs to live someplace else. Some withstand the downside for longer than a day or two, while others last for. Just 2K more for another pet reason. Oh, very close. Right. Also, hi, man. Thanks for stopping by. There are lots of imps in the downside, but few, if any, are like this one. In fact, he seems to be descended from the most famous imp of them all. Tizo is older than he appears, and drove the black wagon of the Nightwings for many years, learning much about the rites while traveling with the Triumvirate. But when misfortune fell, he disappeared. He re-emerged years later, having become an integral part of Volford's plan, and to serve as a liaison between Volford and a certain band of exiles whom he entrusted. 67.1% to Shiny Hunt number 3. Gosh dang. It's already getting to that point already. Although, with the events and stuff that have happened on my end, we will be having a Shiny Hunt stream this weekend, so still got that going. Man. Okay. Still be another 3 to 4 weeks until that. That's fair, because I am streaming significantly less than normal. The game Arise? I know nothing. I know precisely 0 things about Arise. It sounded like the name was familiar at first, but then it got to it. It's just like, nope, I don't remember it. I saw a picture and like, I don't remember anything. So, nope. All right, Volford. I should be interested to see which lessons you have taken from the book. You and Volford go over what you know of the celestial landmarks you have been to, and how their properties impact the Nightwings and the rites. You can tell he knows many of them well by now. Oh, there we go. Volford will be maxed out next time. As we traverse life's many unexpected challenges, so must we cover a variety of terrain on our quest. China's stream happening since Saturday, since our plans got squashed by Corona. Yep. That's the plan. I'm still quite upset that our plans got ruined for this weekend. It's understandable that they did, but I'm still upset that it's not happening. So we'll have to make do in the meantime. I don't really game because he's playing a Futurama game, and I'm interested. And after that's it. All right. Say hi to Gam for me, and have yourself a good sleep. Thanks for stopping by. Too much pupset things. Too many things to be pupset about these days. All right, Delbert. Howdy, Ron. Oh, hey, guys. You know, it seems so awful quiet now. Gotta say, not that slippy little character what used to hang around with you. I mean, talks like this a lot. You know what I mean. Hope he found that honor thing he's always going on about. We don't got that in stock just now. So very many things to be upset about. There's now a TV building competition dedicated to Legos. Huh. Interesting. Bunch of stardust. Bear can banish adversaries by flinging the orb into them is pretty neat, but I think at this point we're kind of just set. I'm just gonna upgrade whatever I've got on hand, because that's maxed with safety, plus 8 quickness if I want it. I only have like one talisman. I do only have one talisman that I can upgrade. Alright, well, this is what we're rolling with then. It's not really worthwhile to give Volfred. Maybe I could give Volfred a speed increase rather than safety. Because his current movement speed is 2.4 meters per second. This brings it to 4.9. Literally twice as fast. We can try that out. Why not? Later on. Appreciate you doing business, and you guys be sure to tell your friends, okay? Can do. And just as always, gotta check in with Sandra. Nope. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Sandra's completely exhausted of dialogue at this point. All right, Delbert. I bet you. You and the others are busying yourself for the commencement of the rite this evening, when you notice Faye behaving strangely. More than usual. Maybe he is here. I mean, I think he has to be. Somewhere nearby? She notices you then. Oh, I'm sorry, miss. I was just, I think maybe my friend is here. And I was hoping to say hi to him before we have to do the ceremony with the star ball. Wait, it's him. That's him. My friend is here. He's here. Just then, your adversaries, the Fate, arrive on the other side of the Hulk of Horus. They begin making necessary preparations. Faye rushes over to them before anyone can stop her, even as the stars above start shining through the darkness. Huh. Nice. That's good to hear, miss. Good to hear. We're taking no chances anymore. No Titan star difficulty increases. I want to finish the story as I intend. Or finish the story, yeah, as I want, rather than trying to get all the trophies.
The stars once more have mustered wherewithal to usher in the rites. The sky grows dimmer by the day. An age is ending. Surely you must know by now that you shall never all be free. Yet still you struggle to fulfill some senseless plan. But I digress, of course. Some of us still honor the tradition. Some of us hold dear the teachings of the scribes.
The game drags on a bit after the initial story rush until the end story bit, but it makes sense that there has to be so many rounds. Yeah. I'd say it's just mostly just the balance balancing act that they kind of have to do between the gameplay section of it and the story section of it. So the very first Liberation Rite was almost exclusively story, though there are many rites that you perform. But there was a lot of story up until that first Liberation Rite. But then it starts like trying to bring in more of the gameplay aspects and trying to make you make those difficult decisions of who do I free? And I can only free from someone who is the top three experience levels of my party. How does that fit in with the plan? How does that do all the things? So it's just like, yeah, they're trying to get you to make more and more difficult decisions and stuff like that, and it just becomes a trickier balance to try to get all those across while also keeping up the pace for the story and stuff. Unless, of course, you're so good you can win just only two. I don't think the game actually allows you to play with only two. I'm pretty sure at some point in time they did mention that it was a full triumvirate that was needed. You needed 3. Otherwise, the right wouldn't happen. Oh, hello. Hello. Why, hello indeed, young one. We are the Faith, and once again we hail you and all the Nightwings. Thanks. I was wondering, may I speak to your son? All right, it's happy. But I do not see why not. But let me see you. Almer, where are you? Begging your pardon, young one, but my son, he's not always punctual, you see. Well, I shall go and fetch him. But you can hard carry. Oh, okay. I mean, my friend, I hope that he remembers me. You. Wait, where's Father? Father? Hello again. Your father, he went looking for you. Did you not see him? No, I did not see him. This has best not be some Nightwing's trick, or else. Ah, there you are, Alma. A cordial adversary wishes to salute you, I believe. That's right. I mean, here, this is my salute. I'm saluting you. It's nice to see you, and may the scribes watch over you, okay? I want them to watch over us all, but maybe just this time, or not just this time, but this and other times. Maybe they could watch over all of us, okay? The two of them stand and watch as Faith skips over to rejoin the group. An unusual sort of that one. She is about your age. Father! Dalwin's trying to hook up his son. Doesn't seem to be able to handle stream right now. Dang it. Cursed internet. Man, take care, fun. Have yourself a wonderful night. Thanks so much for the raid. I appreciate it. I'm back. Sorry, I'm late. Sorry, I'm late. I'm ready now to do my part, however I can.
Who shall it be this time? Faye.
Teaser.
Tiso.
Volfred.
Volfred. With that out of the way,
Would that Delbert Oldheart and his family had a better lot in life. We fight so that all others such as they might stand a better shot at one. Steel yourself, Almer. Are you prepared to face our adversaries once again? Always, Father. Let us prevail here and now. Let us do indeed, my son.
now begin. In honor
Yeet.
of the scribes. Be gone.
You cannot escape. No! Up. Get over there, Tiso! No! Tiso!
Sorry, Alma.
No!
The fates are banished
Oh.
to the lands.
Well, that worked.
Such wherewithal.
I don't remember whose abilities that was that respawned upon an ally upon death. I think it was Phase, actually. There's definitely little story bits that you get or don't get depending on which teams you interact with more often and who you have left. Yep. I would know that for sure. There's so many interactions that are very specific between one of your opponents and one of your team members. What are you doing, you? Put your mask back on. We are in the middle of a ride. Badavan chicken and mango chutney sauce with green beans and mustard seed rice. Seems interesting. I'm not sure I would enjoy that one, but it seems to be portions of it. It would be worth a shot. The whole subplot between Rookie and the other dog team. Yep. And I got none of it. So Rookie was the first one I let go. It's like a curry soup. Sounds interesting. No, I know, it's just, I want to say, that I think that you were very brave is all, I think. Because we have encountered many triumvirates by now. I mean, we have the dissidents and the tempers and... What are you talking about? Get to the point. No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean, my name is Faye. I wanted you to know my name. It's Faye, since I know yours. Badavan is a type of curry pot. I see. Then ready yourself, Faye. We shall not hold back.
Such a struggle it must be for poor old Dalbert and his witless son.
Oh! Yep.
Blessed be.
Got the...
No more than a lick of flame
Ah.
remains.
Get out of here, Pizo. Think you can just play defense like that? Oh! Whoa, that was impressive, actually. Hup. Don't get over there. Oh, that didn't work. Get back here. Stop it.
And it is done.
I got this whole Faye and him interacting early in the game. Yeah, it took me a while to interact with
Adversaries
this
must be crying
this team.
tears of shame.
Took me a long time to interact with this team again.
The
Or these
ceremony
enemies.
is complete.
Wait, I wanted. I'm sorry. I just wanted to apologize. I think. Why, young? What's not to say such things? You are one of the Nightmen, most envied of all triumph. We aspire to your greatness and your legacy. Father, please, no more of this. They have prevailed. We need not grovel at their feet. The Almer. Is Almer? I had a question. Ask a question and then go on about your business. Would you be my friend? What? I was wondering if you'd be my friend, because I don't have a lot of friends, and you're brave and gentle with your father, so... It's just a you know while, my son. What? The scribes, were they not friends? They think. I choose to think. They brought us here to be closer together, not to be apart. A budding romance in the downside. Blessed are the scribes, whose eternal vision shines upon us through the stars and illumines the path to our salvation. Wait, what did I just say? Why, that was strange, but I feel so invigorated now. Faye slows near by enemies when sprinting, charge of time before Faye casts her auras. Faye's just gonna be dunking on him. He's a rise in rank.
So Volfred learned a thing or two, so what?
Is it possible our plan shall not succeed, despite our fiercest efforts here in the Commonwealth? I know for certain that our efforts shall not be in vain. We learn and strive together. We prevail or we fail together. On this path we share. It has been and shall continue to be my greatest honor. Casting, detonate it for burst, or save us. If we lose. But the former Nightwing member, what has happened with him so far? Volfred? there's been the interactions with Oralek and a lot of delving farther into the past of the Night Winds. The other guy? Kizo? Oralek? So we had the first run-in with him, in which we actually faced off against his team. And then afterwards, right before our last liberation rite, we spotted him in the distance. We tried to approach and converse, and he disappeared. And then he later just appeared in our wagon and was inspecting everything. And then he was just wondering what we, the reader, were to the Night Winds. And I believe that's all we've seen of him. Yeah, that's all we've seen of him.
May misfortune find you ere the turning of the stars.
Just wanted to jog. Can love bloom on the fields of magic ritual sports ball? I think so. Inside the wagon, after thwarting the fate, Tizo is discussing aspects of the outcome with the others when the lone minstrel seeks you out. Pardon the interruption, reader, though I need to ask a moment of your time, while the night is clear enough for you to see. Please, come have a look outside. Perhaps the news of your next destination may still further stir the hearts of your companions. Among what stars yet remain shining in the night, one of them now burns as bright as ever, as you have ever seen. The freedom calls to you again. Answers the call already? Oh, it's just one. Oh boy. Oh, we're hopping right into it, aren't we? Yeah, it's a good thing we didn't we didn't try to face that with all the Titan stars up. The cycle turns even more quickly now, till such time as it shall shudder to a halt. It makes a sound, then, almost like a laugh. I forget myself, reader. I should not say such things. Scribes, they would say that one ought to focus on the path in front of her. When we set forth to walk along a labored path, it can be all too much. If we stand back and look upon it as a whole, we may well decide to turn around. But if we begin to walk, whilst casting down our gaze, and whilst resisting well the urge to look too far ahead, we may make steady, careful progress. Soon enough, we may arrive where we endeavored. Lone Minstrel bids you a good evening. You had best retire for the night, for when first daylight comes, it shall be time again to take to the skies. Hi, Faye. Faye seems very happy about something, and has been chanting softly to herself. On closer inspection, however, she seems to be engaged in conversation with the wagon wall. And so, after the rite, he said to me, I think he said to me, farewell. Can you believe it, little brother? He said that, then he left, to go find Mr. Delbert, who went on ahead. And so I think that maybe we're friends now. Don't you think so too? We have a lot in common, don't we? Friends are supposed to have a lot in common, right? For instance, we're both fighting for those we care about, for those who helped us when we needed it. Is that not so? He's very lucky to have met Mr. Delbert, isn't he? She falls silent for a time. Hi, Spook. A home slow, even. Well, it cannot be that the scribes intended that all of us just have to fight each other all the time. Just cannot be. So many whom we face, they don't like us very much, do they? Because if we prevail against them, it must mean that they cannot go home, even if they really want to. So that's why they don't like us. Back home, when they told me to stop being me, I didn't like them either. You want to know what I think, little brother? I think the scribes put us together and all this so we can learn from one another and grow closer together as friends. This is what I think, little brother, and I told them so. Maybe the next time I see Almer and Mr. Delbert again, they'll be happy to see me then. She bounds off, noticing where she goes. Hi, miss. You sense some burden has been lifted from her, and her knowledge of the rites, however informal it may be, is crystallized into a deeper understanding. Plus one hope permanent. Sure will. Wolford's having a drink with Kizo. Awesome. Okay. Whether this will be the last liberation rite, still up in the air. But it seems very much so. We literally had one other rite before then. Ah! What are you... Ah, you jerk! Your wagon reels from the impact of some sort of massive object slamming into it, mid-flight. False night weakness. Orlok calls down to all of you from atop his wagon. Again you seek to climb that cursed mountain beneath us. Again you seek to take my rightful place. I should send you crashing down to it, that you might fall as I have. He stares down at all of you. But I shall not. Rather, we shall meet upon the summit, ere the last cycle of rites is ended. Until then. Once more we sail above the fall of Solium. The temple for the 8 scribes awaits us at the summit. None have seen the temple, save for those worthy to conduct the rites there, and myself, and my counterpart Celeste. You may then wonder whence it came. The cycle of rites has turned since the beginning of this age. Over its course, whilst waiting for the cycle's turns, some exiles thus paid tribute to the 8 scribes. I think the scribes may not have wanted such extravagance, or the carved effigies to them along the way. Yet, it's for triumvirates to decide how best to honor the rites. They chose to honor them as you see there. How you remember this, of course, whether you even wish to do so, that is yours to decide. Scribes would not want otherwise. What do you reckon the Lone Minstrel is? As an individual, I mean, they're basically ostensibly the 2 gatekeepers, the Lone Minstrel and Celeste. Celeste stays, I'm assuming their responsibilities are Celeste stays at the Scribe's Gate, and the Lone Minstrel stays with the Nightwings, as far as their duties go. And their duty is to make sure the rites are proceeding as intended. Like, how is he connected to all of this? Where did he come from? That kind of thing. A scribe wouldn't be a terrible guess. I don't know. At this point, I really don't know. There's very little information about the past, and just I'm presuming that Celeste and the Lone Minstrel were here since the formation of the rites, which would likely put them in line with the scribes, which would it wouldn't make sense for them to be scribes though, because the scribes are like one of each race. And the Lone Minstrel and Celeste seem to be of the same race. No, my head's leaning towards like they are like actually a part of whatever overall deity that spawned the rites. Or at the very least, like an envoy or or something along those lines for them. Yeah, something probably with the stars is what I would assume. No, the scribes are. We have pretty good descriptions about them. Yeah. One of the monsters? One of the titans? I wouldn't guess so, because a lot of the descriptions or a lot of the stories that we've read up to this point have been tales of the Titans' downfall at the hands of the scribes. I don't know. It just really feels like there are beyond this mortal coil. That they might just be like the two that the stars sent to maintain the order of the rites or something like that. Also, yeah, we've seen the remains of many of the Titans. They're legitimate large creatures. I don't know. All the tales that we've seen of the Titans have been that they've that they were killed. That's just not knowing the answer myself or having really thought about it. I don't know. That's my best guess, is that they're definitely something akin or just step below whatever gods or whatever they are that the stars are that create and maintain these rites. Make landing on the sacred Mount Ilodio after your encounter with Oralek. Oralek spoke the truth. He has the right to gain the summit. When the time comes, Celeste shall deem him worthy, and shall let him pass. While he has transgressed against the rites, he has also already been anointed and prevailed. Nothing is written in the book on this, and liberty ought already be his. Also a thing, at one point in time, they did, since they came before the rites and helped guide the scribes. Yeah, that's where my head's going. When first the Lone Minstrel showed you his eyes, the game did describe a commonality between his eyes and something else. I believe it was the stars, but I can't quite remember. For the time, it seems that he has not yet traveled to the summit. Perhaps he's still making preparations with his fellow exiles. When exactly Oralek intends to make good on his promise, he did not make clear. For now, you are to confront Lendl and the accusers upon the summit, but first you may prepare. I'm guessing this is probably not the final liberation, right? This will be the second to last one. Based on the terminology they're using and stuff. But that would likely mean that our final liberation rite would probably be against Oralek. In which case, there's, depending on the events coming up to before that, I may decide to let Oralek go free. We'll see. Sandra was part of a group of assassins sent to kill Myrrh. But they failed in it, and I can't recall exactly the reason why they were saved, or not saved, but they weren't killed. They were instead like banished or some sort to eternal servitude in the Beyonder Crystal. But yeah, we know that one. And I believe Sandra said she has been trapped in there for 837 years. So 837 years, this has been the way of things. Later that afternoon, you accompany Volfred through the fading glory of Temple High Road, the monument loose glory. Faith is all that you brought me all this way. And yet, I have great fear about the outcome of our plan. We're at 81%! Not too shabby. So many here, and in the Commonwealth, have put their faith in it. Should we fail? And that should we fail? But no, we will not have failed. We will not have failed. He returned to the wagon after he has finished paying his respects. The summit awaits, but first, there's time to continue practicing our vocations. His two presents. I mean, we can just forage for resources because we've honestly never done that in this entire game. Send something Falcon Ron values here. Or potent serum. I guess I can. I don't know. I die. Thanks for stopping by. Well, let's sell and get something super powerful there. It would seem that thou hast procured something of certain value, reading one. Ah, a glowing shard. Something you forged. An Elodium. Nice. The scribe's gate. Deep in the ancient formations of Mount Elodium, you find a messenger imp looking to bring you the latest news and rumors from the other side. You know what I'm going to play after Mystical Basketball? It's going to be Neo 2. For sure. I want to play Neo 2 so badly. But I needed to finish up Pyre first. So yeah, it's going to be Neo 2. And it's very likely that that's going to be tomorrow. I'm going to be hopping into Neo 2. Dang it, Moobot. How dare. How dare Moobot lose their baby son. This time around, the imp brings tidings of Sir Gilman and what happened to him since his liberation at the Fall of Solium, when, at last, his self-imposed exile came to an end. Fairly impressed that your resolve actually did not play it. It's been like a week or something. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't had the most amount of free time to dedicate to gaming these past few weeks, so it's mostly been just like I wanna stream it, and I've just been able to keep myself distracted away from it with a bunch of other stuff. Learned that his return to the Commonwealth was met with much rejoicing, and that before long he was promoted to the rank of Veiled Captain at the Blood Border. And yet, with tears welling in his eye, he did refuse the post, stating he no longer had the heart to fight against the Highwing remnants as he once did. I think I'll finish Pyre before the end of the stream. Gwen thought so at the end of last stream, so I think so. And honestly, I think I'll probably, even if it takes me longer, I'll probably finish it anyway today. He then cast down his helmet, and when next anyone saw him, he was among Volfred's agents, having joined the revolution to reshape the Commonwealth from within. You thank the messenger imp for the report, and salute it crisply, as surely Gilman would have. Soon, the news has everyone in the wagon talking. The tears he shed ought to have been bottled, and thus set aside for use in various salves. There's a fair bit of reading at the end, but here. Do you think that one day I can be as brave as him? Because I don't always think I can. Noble Gilman made the gallant choice, it seems. Our plan comes closer to fruition, though, through his good example and support. Graha! Tiso feels inspired by the news of Gilman's selfless actions. The news of Gilman's liberation fills you and your fellow exiles with newfound resolve. This one. Wish him good fortune. You returned once more to the Scribe's Gate, where the Gate Guardian awaits under a dim sky. The exiles of the Nightwings, and you, Daddy. This is to be one of our final meetings. One of our final. Greetings, Celeste. The Nightwings are prepared. And afterwards, I would have words with you in private, if you please. It seems to me rather late for words now, Daddy. But I shall hear them once your charges cross the gate. Now, all of you, come forth. Please state your names and what it is you seek whilst crossing the Scribe's Gate. Once more your companions cross the gate, one after another, and once more you follow them in turn. Celeste regards you all, then waves you through, toward the summit. Fate scribes bid the Night Wings welcome. Go forth with glory. And Teddy, I, Celeste. You may rejoin the others in a while. For now, I would hear those words of yours. Certain, Celeste. It's the eyes. It's the eyes. Whenever you see his eyes, it's just like something otherworldly there. Everyone shall see you shortly. Is this the final one? It's never had vocals here before. So, hey, guys, it's gotten really cold up here, but it's worth let me tell you, got a customer's been stopping by. Hi, Penguin. Thank you for the bit. Appreciate it. All right. Also, bye, Penguin. How many have you done so far? This will be our 6th right. Okay, I may have been exaggerating just a little since I've been waiting here a little while, I guess, but buying anything? Yes, this will be our 6th. It is a very good song. 7th would mean that we would have only 3 members throughout the entire duration, but we still have 4. I could probably just drop these paired ones now at this point. Just never going to be able to properly use them when our supply of people is so low. While the bears try and burn his banished adversaries and slows and counting his abilities. So let's put that. Let's grab that just because it's very powerful. Bear's Pyre recovers. Damage done. Bear can add damage. I think we'll be fine with that. We can dump some more stuff into it later if we want. But right now these are both useless while we still have Volfred. Pleasure was all mine and Dad's. You guys. Feels like it's so much near the end. That's why I want to get Volfred out of here, even though Volfred might protest to it, seeing as how he's basically still the leader. But let's see. Time has come again to deliver one of your fellow exiles to a homecoming in the Commonwealth, lest your adversaries, the accusers, achieve the same instead. The lone minstrel has returned and approaches as you await the signal from the stars. There is something that I wish to ask you, reader. Something which ordinarily would not be my place to discuss in any detail. You have observed the stars. I would not mind my asking you in such a direct manner. How many liberation rites are you supposing yet remain? Have you deduced how many liberation rites are still to come? Is this the very last? Perhaps the lone minstrel asks a leading question to break the news that this is to be your final stand, to remain, including this one now. The rate at which the stars are vanishing and the cycle is hastening leads you to only one conclusion. The stars and future liberations be damned. What matters is what happens here now. We haven't deduced it, though Volfred would be the one to deduce it. I'm probably going to say, is this the very last? The rate at which the stars are vanishing and the cycle is hastening leads you to one conclusion. My head thinks logically that this is probably the second to last. My head is thinking logically that this one is the second to last. Just because it would be not a fully appropriate finish to not go up against Orlek at the end. But also got a lot. We also got a lot of detail. Or a lot of stuff being like, this feels very endless. I'm going to say 2. 2 remain, including this one now. You tell him that the only logical deduction, which you have been able to make based on all of your readings of the stars of late, that there shall be one final liberation rite after tonight. I concur with your evaluation, Reader Madam. There we go. It's been decreasing my 1 every time. This time had 1 in between. It hasn't... No, that wasn't the case. The first one was like 8. Then... it was like 5. Was it? No. It was like 8, then it was like 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1. Something like that. I wish to make certain that you are aware, so that you and the Nightwings may yet make the most of your remaining time together thus. So we do have 1 more. As to what shall happen once the final liberation rite is ended, we soon shall both find out. But lo, it seems that we are called upon once more. Look forth. I have to let Wolfred free here. I want to leave the potential option to have Orlek be the last one I free, rather than one of my team members. So Orlek is, as well as Orlek may automatically be deemed worthy in that regard, because Orlek already has been deemed worthy. So I gotta get Wolfred free. Because yeah, we really don't know what will happen during that final one. If Orlek is the one who's going to be facing us, which all the signs point to it.
Reader, I would ask that you think back for just a moment, if you please. When you first looked upon the Book of Rites, think back upon the words that it revealed. Oblige the voice that tells you more. Oblige the voice that tells you more.
Yeah, huh?
Would that the scribes were here among us still. I would not sing your praises to them, rest assured. I trust that you shall savor this occasion. You shan't have to oblige me for much longer.
The game, you don't get Wolfred until after you have liberated 3 people, and he starts at 0 XP. So probably the fastest you could liberate him is maybe the 5th one. Because you have to choose from your top 3 experienced members to liberate. So yeah, like if you really balance things out between all of your other characters, or like completely dumped all of your XP into the first 4 that you liberated, then you might be able to do that in the 4th or 5th, right? But yeah, for quite some time, Wolfred is not an active participant. I think you liberated him the fastest because I know I didn't have him as an option in this one. Pyre's burn, and each of the triumvirates is present and prepared. I concur. The pyres burn, and each of the triumvirates is present and prepared. Then, anointed one of the accusers, come forth now and declare yourself, and pay any respects you have unto your adversaries, the Nightwings. Poised as ever, Blendel steps forward and reaches for his mask. I was branded Blendel the Liar. Once I reclaim my liberty, that name shall be forgotten. My rightful station in the Commonwealth shall be restored. Nightwings, you may have prevailed against me when last we met here upon this sacred site. But the many years since then have taught me much. I shall not fail again. Yet you still hold much resentment for your adversaries. Is that not so, Len? Resentment is too kind of a word. They are cheaters, one and all. Unfairly favored by those scribes, while those such as myself struggle endlessly for such a task. He's talking about the previous. He has been around for a while, but the previous Nightwings must have also defeated him. He must have been he must have been a part of this whole process for a very, very long time. Now, my accusers, let us vanquish those undeserving oafs and prove now that the scribes that they were fools to favor the likes of them. He dons his mask once more. I am ready. I remember this team. Nightwings, your choice. In whose name shall you conduct this liberation rite? I wish you the wisdom of the scribes in making your choice, reader. And I wish you to come prepare our song with me, Daddy. Mystic Ritual Sports Ball Trash Talk. MRSTT. What happens if you fail to liberate anyone? It's a good question. Yeah, if you fail, the enemy gets liberated. That's what you know for sure. I just don't know what the outcomes would be. How the story would progress and stuff like that. It would be very interesting to try to play through this game and specifically lose all liberation rights. All right, Volfred, you've got to go ahead. My game, I let the harp lady get liberated because my harpy lady begged me. You actually... I am surprised you did that die. Like, everything when that happened, or when I was in the midst of that one, everything screamed at me. I'm just like, you're not getting out. You're like the worst one I could liberate. Because you would literally just go back and continue to try to murder people. That one was just like... I think there is a trophy for letting one of the opponents get liberated rather than one of your team members. And Dalbert was probably the only one that I'd considered actually letting go. But in the end, right now, as of this playthrough, I want the plan to succeed. So I think I kind of just put precedence over that above all else. Or just lose every right. This is the kind of game that gives you a very unique story for just losing. Yeah, probably. Who you could lose to and see how that helps the plan. Yeah, that's... I don't think there's anyone who could. 81% was our plan. What happened with Harpy Woman? It was so long. I would be curious what happened after the... Not Pamitha, our Harpy Woman, but Tamitha got freed. So much to be done. Should I or any of us return? Let's focus on the here and now. We face a worthy adversary there, the accusers.
Who shall strive for him?
Bertrude and Tizo can do the backup. Bertrude now needs XP. And we shall do what is within our power with that one.
Tizo.
Angry Harp continues to be angry. She's probably even angrier with Pamdon. Tizo's more than willing to help Volfred get home.
It is done.
Come then, Nightwings. Look upon me one last time, or by dawn I shall be free, while you all wallow in the terrible defeat we have in store for you.
Commence.
Oh, really? Whoa, where are you? Oh, what in the world? That was awkward. What the? That was interesting. Get in there, Bertrude. You imp. He singles out Tizo from across the sacred grounds. The indignity which you have wrought upon me all these years, tonight shall be washed away, as I at last return to my post. Long had I toiled in this abominable place, only for you, pathetic wretch that you are, you, of all things, to thwart me and my accusers in our moment of triumph. Small consolation knowing that the Nightwings fell apart soon after. Misfortune which you doubtless wrought yourself. As for we, clawed back our way back into this mountaintop, you sniveling, loathsome little beast. And this time, things are going to transpire in a very different manner. Just you watch. Tizo just stares right back at him, betraying no emotion, but then he calls it his mask. Rakra! Certain imp expressions resist translation. Suffice it, Tizo does not hold Lendl in high esteem. It seems Tizo does not hold Lendl's mother in high esteem either. Tizo! You insult his mother. Then he dons his mask once again. Why you? How dare you raise your weakling voice at me? You blast the Nightwings. Would that we could all go free, that I might have you all arrested and then sentenced once again. You didn't have Tizo at this point either. It didn't make sense for me to send Tizo back. As much as Tizo is very good, this is Tizo's home. I don't think the presence of Tizo would have increased much in terms of the plan. Now get out of my way! Hup, 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 beep, hup, 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 beep, hup. Oh, good deflect. Sup? Uh-oh. Well, that wasn't intended. Where do you think you're going? The dodge! Oh! Play some defense. Oh no!
Struggle all you like, reader.
No!
Foul. Tis taken.
No! What?
A second
What?
wind.
Really?
Somebody get the ore.
The dodge!
This is the path to glory.
Oh no.
A banishment.
No!
Poof goes Lendl.
Fool. Get in there, Tizo. The voice hates us because we're trying to end the rights. And the voice is a former member of the Nightwings and also the current leader of the Commonwealth. Seems to have gotten their liberation and wanted these to proceed as usual rather than change, at the very least. Now, accusers, grant me your auras and your anger that we may finally secure our rightful victory against these demons whom we face. He's channeling the auras of his triumvirate. Their strength combines with his. This must be the Aura Gate. Secret technique developed by the accusers to ensure their victory in the liberation rites. Uh-oh. That's not good.
Lendl yearns to regain his status in the Commonwealth. Would you deny him that?
In we go.
The scribe.
Aren't the rights ending anyway since the stars are disappearing? They are, though they're not exactly sure of how to go about it or go about about fixing that issue. Oh, that was a weird short hop. All right, Tizo, time to play some defense. Also, yeah, we're ending more than rights. We're ending the entire system.
And there it is, at last. The blasted Nightwing.
Also, we're not the ones ending it. We don't know why it's ending,
As for
actually.
their adversaries, they did not.
It could be because of us and what we're trying to do in the Commonwealth, or it could be
Thus
because of
ends the liberation right.
because of Orlek.
And thus, the scribes have chosen
Someone who was intended to be liberated but was
exile
denied,
appointed
and now
by
is
the
coming back.
Nightwings shall be free, absolved of all misdeeds, return to glory in the Commonwealth. His adversary and all others shall remain to carry out their rightful sentences.
Blast you, Nightwings. King, you cheated me. Have you no pride at all in this tradition? How did... we didn't cheat. We kind of just played it straight. I didn't want to keep Pamitha on the downside and say Tiso would stay. I am indebted to you all. Words fail me, but I shall try and force a few, as long as now I haven't long. The plan of which we're all a part. It cannot, by its nature, be dependent on any given individual. That includes myself. We each face doubt from time to time, and I became quite certain I would never see the Commonwealth again, the stars fading and all. That outcome would have been acceptable to me, provided that our plan prevailed. My agents in the Commonwealth and those of you who managed to return, united, you for certain can achieve much more than I or any one of us. Nevertheless, if I'm to be the next one to return, then I have my work cut out for me. We fall silent for a moment, then. Nightwings, this has been the greatest honor of mine. I now take leave of you, to do my very utmost to ensure the sacrifices you have made for me, our nation, all of us, that those sacrifices shall not be in vain. I think you liberated Volfred, then Tizo, with Bertrand, Pamitha, and Zay. Faye left at this point. So our only difference then at this point would be you have Pamitha and I have Tizo. And he reaches out to you alone.
Reader, until we stand again together.
With that, Wilfred Sandalwood vanishes into the Shimmer Pool. He calls out from within as his return journey begins. Stand together, all of you. No matter what shall come, I shall see you on the other side. We may be separated soon by distance, but our purpose remains shared. Scribes guide you. So barely used Pamitha up until the end. Wilfred won back his freedom. May he return in glory.
Godspeed, Volfred Sandalwood. The cycle of the rites is nearly at an end.
Oh, Bertrand. So here we are. The only three remain. How will this proceed? Something new. You return to the wagon after having prevailed against the accusers in the liberation rite. A fortuitous result. Crew here you come. Tizo's pleased that Volfred is finally free. Oh no, Mitz. Get that Wi-Fi back up. You succeeded in liberating Volfred to return to the Commonwealth in glory. He's a historian with great knowledge of the rites and a plan to transform the Commonwealth. He has regained his freedom in the liberation rite. Soon you shall be summoned back to Mount Elodium for one final liberation rite, and thus one final chance to influence the outcome of your plan. 92%. incredibly high percent. Which means likely if we sent another person back, we would get 100%. But we're already at 92, so maybe we can just say heck it and let's the enemy go free if that's how we see fit. So many events already in motion, but even as you wait for them to happen as they will, there still is something vital you can do. 91%ish at this point. I could have had higher. I did lose two matches, but that was me trying to get tight trophies. Now, read, if you please. I fear the stars have little patience left. You turn back toward the darkness to look upon the last few stars too stubborn to relinquish their light. The scribe stars yet burn for you atop the sacred mountain, determined where they lead. How go Liberation Heights remaining. Oh, whoa. Why are the accusers knocked out? Did Orlek get to them? Probably gonna be really annoying to deal with the Chastity in the final bout. So if I can, it might be worthwhile to knock the Chastity down a peg, so I don't have to deal with Manly again. And I don't. Well, great. I don't know. We haven't talked to the witches in a while. Have I been back to Haub? I'm pretty sure I've been back to Haub. Have I been back to Gold? I don't think I have. Ymir, I know I have been. We can go say hi to the Tempers one last time. Why not? Even though we won't particularly matter. We probably would have had dialogue with the Bog Witches, having Bertrude with us. Once more, you are to face the Tempers, then. Although I wonder. He hesitates before saying anything further. You cannot sense his thoughts. I apologize. I was lost in that thought there for a moment. Let us make for the Ridge of Coal, when everyone is feeling more refreshed as much as possible. What happens if Tamitha is set free, if you wanted to know? I don't think it's exactly what happens in my game, though. I'd say hold on to it until we finish, because this is going to be the final liberation right coming up, so we can... If you're still around, when we finish this up, feel free to share. So shall the sparkly thing in its center is, in fact, its heart, which it airs from time to time. Keepsake from the Sea of Souls. Only a monster would attempt to remove the heart, or would have the strength. We don't have the strength. On the legacy. Reader, though you shall always bear a burden, is much lighter than the burden of a lonesome exile. Go forth and become free. Then join with others such as you, and lead with mercy, continuing to demonstrate your worth, and knowing that the Empire's fall formed the foundation of our commonwealth. You shall cease to be a reader and become a voice both to the free and to your successors here, who shall take up this book when you no longer need it. Cycle of Rights shall see to it that you and others like you shall be liberated ere the coming of another age. May the stars shine ever brightly on us all. Got anything, Sandra? Nope. Just want to say hi to Sandra. What's up, Tizo? Since Forford disappeared into the Shimmer Pool after the Liberation Rite, Tizo has been in a rather sullen mood. You can imagine why. Apart from the Lone Minstrel, he has known Volford longer than anyone among you. Just then, the Lone Minstrel joins the both of you. It has to be this way, Tizo. Trust you understand. For whom? Tizo indicates he understands. though it does not make him less sad right now.
Looks at his house.
I understand in turn. Little Imp runs over to him then. They held each other tight for a moment. Wolford is now in a position to fulfill his plan firsthand. It is an opportunity which he did not expect to have, yet I am certain he shall take. Though, I do understand the sense of sorrow at the thought of never seeing him. Tizo coos plaintively at this. Take heart, Tizo. We may all see each other yet, and if the stars decide we cannot do so in this life, we shall do it in the next. Is that not so? Tizo is a smile. That is better. And he turns to you. Thank you kindly, reader. It is not my role or in my nature to play favorites in all this. And yet, I must say, it gladdens me that Sandalwood is soon to make his mark upon your land. Tizo likewise wishes Wolford well in his return and long thereafter. That sounds more like the Tizo whom we know. Now, let us see if we might find something to eat at this late hour. Tizo heartily concurs with the lone minstrel's suggested course of action. Begging your leave, reader, sometimes a late night walk out in the cold is good for Tizo's spirits. Until the morning, we are grateful to you for all that you have done for Wolford. They head out into the dark. Wolford, the one-time leader of the Nightwings, you wonder just what sort of impact someone such as he may have back in the Commonwealth. You know full well his loss among the Nightwings is going to be felt, even as the plan of which you are a part comes that much closer to fruition. We continue. It is daybreak. You are to set forth now for the Ridge of Gold for what appears to be the final time. Thereafter, you shall return here for one last exile's final chance at liberty. Jesus. Long path to get down there. Cool. Face success, you may find something of value. Momenture believes this should be an expedient path. Let's take the expedient path. Because that might lead to vocations, in which case we can get Bertrude maybe up to the point of maxed out. Unlikely, but we'll see. Check with the Lone Minstrel. As you look about the sweeping plains stretching in every direction, the Lone Minstrel approaches, and that's the moment of your time. Reader, I believe I've located something of some value. It was cast aside near to where we landed. Perhaps we can make use of it. He hands to you the item that he found, and encourages you to take the rest of the day to rest and pursue your vocations. Prayer parchment. Should fetch you some soul. Nice. Stash it away. Here. Just want to talk to Sandra. Game won't let me. I suppose we can get Bertrude's XP. Very well. Then educate thou if thou canst. You and Bertrude compare thoughts on how each of your fellow exiles can contribute to prevailing in the rights, in which groups of three then maybe can achieve their very best. So close. Trust is not a quality our kind possesses in abundance. 260 left. Okay, Bertrude will be maxed out as well. Team of fully maxed out members for the only time in the game during the final rite. To the Ridge of Gold. Say hi to the Tempers for a final time. What's up, Ron? Hey guys, now don't tell me, but I ain't seen that old Mr. Sandalwood with all the rest of you. Finally got out of here, or what? Well, good for him, I guess. As long as you don't take all the rest of you with him. Know what I mean? I value all my customers. Whoa. big old pile of stardust. Have that. That. Have that. This was for a house for Wolfred. Spanish adversaries will slow to get their abilities, or we can just continue as normal. I don't really have anything to really purchase, so to speak. Anything that I really want. Oh, we can get a permanent boost presence. Why not? I guess we could just stock up on this good stuff for the final rites. There we go. That should work. So, be seeing you guys. I also don't remember there being a right between these two. Guess my memory isn't the best. Okay. Who needs an increased presence? Let's just give it to Tizo. Get that boosted. Invisible once. Oh, come on. I think we can just save all of them for the final, right? Yeah, I think we can save them all for the final, right? Let's see how things go. I don't think I really want to change anything. Virtue pierces through solid objects is so freaking powerful with how massive her wave is. Faye. I think being able to dunk for 8 more is nice. Because in 3, she would be doing 30 versus 3, she'd be doing 66. You destroyed everyone with Faye. Faye is very strong, very fast, and can just hop over everything. I think I'll probably just stick with the Kerfang. Okay. Let's commence the rite. After making all the necessary preparations amid the rolling hills of the Ridge of Gold, you and your companions await the commencement of the rites. It is quieter even than usual at the onset of such events. The lone minstrel appears, bearing some sort of news. I have checked. And it appears as though the Tempers have not yet arrived, Reader Madam. There is no sign of Ignarius or anyone. Their sigil is not set either. If what he says is true and your adversaries are not present, then presume the rite cannot commence. However, the stars themselves soon indicate you are mistaken. We go?
Reader, the Commonwealth, your home. Today it is aflame. Much like a stack of books. Aflame because of you. Because of your outlandish plan.
Good.
Not that you care. Not that you shall live to see this place again. Your attempts at revolution shan't succeed. Though by all means, keep trying. As for myself, I shall enjoy presiding over these remaining rites.
The rite is set to commence, but your adversaries, they have failed to show. Who? Tizo wonders if the Templars decided not to show, knowing that they would not have another chance at the liberation rite. Indeed. As the rites are drawing to a close, some of the triumvirats whom you have met, perhaps, are beginning to decide the stars are not worth heeding any longer. Ignarius, you wonder whether he would give up on the rites like that. He did seem rather disaffected, having failed on the liberation rite before. Perhaps he did finally decide to quit for good. In any case, we have begun the ceremony here, and so I ask that we end it.
Choose now your band of traitors. Bertrand. Faye. Tizo. The choice is cast.
Tizo seems rather melancholy about having to conduct a rite against no adversary.
Lo, even your adversaries have abandoned you.
Dang it. Damn it.
And it is done. The Nightwings prevail by
Good game.
default.
Flame
Not
quench.
that their
We did it.
adversaries even care.
'Twas time we wasted here. Although our kind, we live for very, very long. That's why you don't remember, right?
Boundless are the teachings of the scribes.
Oh, we didn't even get XP. Damn it. I
Now
want Bertram to
go
get maxed out.
and wallow in the downside for a while.
No one speaks further of the Templars back at the Black Wagon. Everyone is instead preoccupied with the rite that is to come. Thus, the final chance at liberty present itself at last. Then, stars always shine with the truth. The ending of the cycle of rites is now upon us. He looks over to you. Please, look forth, Rita Madame, and see this for yourself. You may well surmise where we are going next. The others turn to you as well. You turn toward the wagon's door. You know what you shall see out there. Now, however, time has come to face it. The dim and fading light of the final star still pierces through the darkness, demanding your attention, guiding you toward the endpoint of your path. You see plain the golden star of Solium. Look upon it for the last. All the other stars are gone. Orlok is already on his way. You are summoned to the fall of Solium for your 7th and final liberation rite. Thus shall the cycle of the rites be ended for an age. You sense that if the rites ever shall commence again, it shall not be during your lifetime, or that of any of your companions, even the longest-lived ones. The stars reveal to you one thing more. The adversary whom you face shall be Orlok. Already he has crossed Scribe's Gate and awaits your arrival. If the 8 scribes created the Nightwings in their own likeness, perhaps it is only fitting that the Nightwings should, in the end, be forced to face themselves. It is a shame that we shall have to confront Orlok in the end. Our goals should never have been at cross purposes. I am surprised that this is what the scribes desire. For now, it may be best that you recover until dawn. Regain your strength as best you can for the coming trial. Rest well, Rita. The group disperses as exhaustion sets in. At dawn, you fly to Mount Elodia to make a final effort to achieve your plan and get somebody home. But who? 94%. Oh, hold on. There actually was. Yoink. Yoink. Sandra! No. Damn. I just want to say hi. I just want to say hi to Sandra. Oh, hi, boys.
Foolish reader. Your so-called friends. You are accomplice to their hateful plot.
Mm-hmm.
They are exploiting you.
Mm-hmm.
You shall never have your freedom.
Mm-hmm. That seemed fundamentally aware to me for a very long time. It's been a long time coming, known that the reader, with the current state of affairs, has no way of regaining freedom. By dawn, you are already up and about. After a troubled slumber, the black wagon is prepared for its final voyage to the fall of Soil. No one speaks. As you lift into the skies, the lone minstrel raises his voice, cutting through the somber mood. Freedom. A certain olden ballad comes to mind just now. I think it may befit the circumstance. Perhaps it may help to pass the time along our flight. Would you mind it very much if I were to play this song for the night winds? The lone minstrel wishes to play his ballad by your leave. Not now! It's your final voyage towards a chance of freedom. Time for quiet contemplation. A song from the lone minstrel may help lift the spirits of your companions at this vital time. By all means, you urge the lone minstrel to play his ballad so that all among you might hear it. He begins without another word.
When the stars align, the rights shall come to bear. Illuminate the signs, the exiles shall be there. All are not the same, but three shall be as one. Freedom in flame. The end has just begun. Strands may break our own, but twisted make upgrade. Together on their own, the journey shall be made. The journey shall be
No. I suppose we can listen to Faye one more time. We've heated tea so many times. Each touchdown amid the sheer cliffs of Mount Elodio to make pilgrimage to the summit for one last time. There, one last liberation rite shall soon commence. There, one last exile shall regain his or her freedom. All others shall remain to carry out their sentences here in the downside, the remainder of their lives. Music and Super Giants games. Darren Korb is a master. And in the Commonwealth, the plan of which you are a part shall either come to fruition or shall be suppressed. Just want to know if I can talk to Sandra one last time. Wait, actually, I wanted to check one thing here. Yep. It was just the accused that left before. All of them have left. It is just us and Oralek. Seek the crone scribe's favor. time to listen to Z's theme. After having landed, you find Faye on an exposition to the monument of Molten Malith, for what is likely to be the final time. Glory to the 8 scribes, for you have chosen me to be a witness to the ending of the cycle of rites. We have followed you on your path, and in your path, and now we have arrived upon the site at which the cycle first began. Always have we done our most to honor you, and honor the traditions you described within the sacred book, which one day I should like to read myself. Whatever shall transpire in the coming nights, it is your will, and I shall accept it, even as I strive with all my heart for all my friends. Soon she is finished. You return to the wagon in silence, feeling as though Molten Malith has shown you favor. Recorded the Bastion OST in his closet. It's possible. A closet is many people's, if they don't have a terrible amount of money, is a good place for voice acting and audio recording. Because it's just filled with cloth that can absorb all the excess sound, so you can get actually pretty clean audio signals in it. At dawn, you shall begin your last ascent. For now, your vocations may occupy what little time you have to spare. They gain plus 3 glory for the next rite. Accept the blessing. No one to say hello to. Nothing at all. Let's get Bertrude. Excellent. Let us then discuss these matters which you believe should be of benefit. I just want to talk to Sandra more. Mostly because I'm trying to get as much lore as possible, but also because Sandra's fun. And it seems... I want a scenario where I can free Sandra. She's been stuck doing that for 837 years. I think that's well and beyond the punishment. Or well and beyond the punishment that she deserves. You find a remote spot where you and Bertrude can discuss any of her misgivings or fears about your journey or your fellow exiles. Conversation gives perspective and relief. Long have I sought to fathom all the darkest secrets hidden by the light of the stars. Now at last, the stars themselves revoke their station in the night, and we have finally achieved an inkling of this. Bertrude's Aura Blast arcs at a wide angle, vanishing at a large angle, or while her Pyre has more than the adversary, she deals an additional 5. I'm just gonna have her blast away waves of nonsense. Here is a commodity to be extracted and exchanged. Thine we shall keep safe with us. Master Blaster. Continue your journey. We go to the Scribe's King for the final time. Except we stop. For this. Here in the narrow passageways of Mount Elodium, you encounter a messenger imp sent to deliver you the latest news and rumors from the other side. You learn this imp was personally sent by Volfred himself to fill you in on all the latest happenings with him since he was liberated at the fall of Solium. On arriving in the Commonwealth, he was taken in with open arms and soon offered a seat among the justices of peace. He admits that he was quite taken aback by everything at first. A branch of the Commonwealth's governing body, and widely considered the most influential, it is they who pass sentencing onto those who transgress against their country and its people. But he of course refused, stating his belief that the traditions of the Commonwealth have been corrupted over the many years. Such remarks put him in real danger. In the next moment, however, he was whisked to secrecy and safety by his sons and daughters of the Revolution in a daring raid. The Commonwealth claims he perished in the Brazen Act. Now Volfred continues his work to find a way to bring home all the rest of you and to transform the Commonwealth according with his plan. He closes with a message to all of you. Have faith, and we shall prevail together in the end. You thank the imp for bringing you this news, which gets all your companions talking. The scribes are guiding him. They're on his side. I know they are, because they told me so. I heard them. I just know. Unsurprising. From all our years, we know him for a stubborn sort. His will cannot be shaken. Skria! Tizo is very excited knowing Volford is alive and well back in the Commonwealth. May the scribes keep watching over you wherever you may go, sir, even if the rites themselves shall cease ere your plan is achieved in full. Hi, Chan. Stopping by. The news of Volford's liberation fills you and your fellow exiles with resolve. Messenger Imp accepts a small bite to eat from you and hurries away. Payments gain +1 hope. Wish Volford luck. You stand before the scribe's gate with your companions. The gate guardian is there, as ever, but you sense something different in her. The exiles of the Nightwings. We shall not meet again after the coming rite. Tariq and I shall be time we take our rest, I think. Greetings, Celeste. I will tell you that the Nightwings are prepared, though this time I am uncertain anyone amongst us feels thus. We have a duty to uphold, Tariq. And then what, Celeste? And then nothing. Not for the rights or us. Not till the dawn of a new age. Now, Nightwings, step forward. Please state your names, and what is it that you seek whilst crossing the Scribe's Gate? One by one, your fellow exiles approach her, now with sureness in their step. May I speak first? My name is Faye. I am here because the Scribes. This is the past that they have shown me, and all of us. I like it when they call me. Prahaha. Tiza believes that his ancestors are watching over the Nightwings, and seeks to live up to their legacy. We are called Big Barchud, and we seek to fulfill the plan of Sandalwood, for we are fond of him and his beliefs, and then to go about our business. Finally, you step forward once more. You, a common wanderer who vowed to help her friends be free again, and who managed to come this far with this group. The Gate Guardian observes you for a moment, then motions past the archway toward the summit. The Gate Scribes bid the Nightwings welcome. Go forth with glory. Except for you, Tariq. You stay right here. I thought you said the rites are not ended yet, Tariq. He looks to her, then over to the rest of you. Pardon me, everyone. I shall be there when the stars align. The Gate Guardian and the Lone Minstrel remain together as the rest of you depart. They're getting it on. It's the last time they'll be together for seemingly an eternity. I suppose they best make the most of it. You have gained the summit of Mount Elodiel for the 7th time, the final time in which any of you shall have a chance to leave the downside. The Beyonder Crystal seeks you. Sandra! Hey guys, I guess you probably heard the big news, huh? Yeah, I'm going out of business here, I guess. Just hasn't been the same, you know? But with the stars all fading out and stuff. Anyways, just wanted to say you guys are great. Sure, I'm gonna miss you having you guys as customers and all that. Got some good news though too. All my stuff, it's all on sale now. And I'll throw a little extra there just for you, okay? So enjoy. Maybe we'll see you guys around, okay? Henceforth, all of Falcon's goods are 5% off. Great. Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Ron. Well, we only need 3. We're not gonna need the quickness because we got the potions for it. Give everyone a full boost. This final one. It's like a Steam sale. Okay. Come see us again, guys. Sandra! Thank you for visiting on such short notice, reader. I understand you have important matters to attend to. So let me be blunt. Please listen for a moment, then. I know this whole affair is coming to an end. All of it. I sense the binds that formed the rites are becoming weak. Which means, soon you will not need me anymore. Not that you have needed me at any point, but still, my services will not be of any further use. I would love to tell you that this means I shall be free from my eternal prison. For some of my Beyonders, it shall be a release. My accomplices are bound by weaker words than those which have bound me. They shall fade away, I think, and finally rest. I, however, shall remain. She hesitates for a moment. Thus, I have a proposition for you. Do not know where you shall go from here, but I ask you to take me there, wherever it shall be. By that, I mean, take this stone prison of mine and keep it. Do not just leave it, as all your predecessors have. Each time their stay among the Nightwings reached an end. Soon the Beyond a Crystal shall serve no use at all, except to keep me trapped. I am content to remain thus, for I have little choice, but I would prefer to do so in your company. Yes! For I do enjoy your company, reader. This may not be much of a compliment, but I assure you that I much prefer your company to any an eternity of solitude. Reader Cross Genie, I have no wish to see you gain in years, and to eventually decay whilst I remain unchanging. But I should rather have more years whilst having contact. Even if those years are to be brief, they shall afford me many more in which I might think back upon our times. Nor do I expect you to accommodate my needs, for I am well aware I have my limits in accommodating yours. That is to say, I wish you to go forth after this night and live your life however you see fit. For your own sake, may all this rights business enrich your coming days somehow. And, in considering that life after this night, if you think that there might be a place in it for me, however small, then, once again, simply ask that you take me along. That way, should you ever wish to visit me again sometime, you could. And I would like to have that as an option more than now. My request here is a selfish one, and for there's little I can offer in exchange, other than what little my companionship is worth. Perhaps I could lull you to sleep once in a while. It's actually rather nice. Who knows? You could always try to sell the Beyond a Crystal for a reasonable sum somewhere, or something to that end. There must be someone out there with an interest in this thing. So then, you've heard my sad little proposition. What do you say? Which is for you to claim the Beyond a Crystal for yourself. Decline! Beyond a Crystal is not your property, nor is Sandra's penance your responsibility. That's so rude! Agree and do it. Why not? Sandra's proved to be a kindred spirit. You would rather not part ways with her. Agree! You grasp the Beyond a Crystal and set it into the folds of your clothing. Sandra senses this and makes a sound as though surprised. Thank you, reader. She is at a loss for a moment. Then, let us go then, from this place. Go and face your last remaining adversaries. May you crush them under heel and achieve the outcome which you seek. I believe you shall prevail. Places over your heart. She disappears into the stone for now. Took the Beyond a Crystal with you. Keep it with you. Hold on, before anything gets set in motion. Should probably see if I can't do this. Hope. Probably give her presents. Just in case we can't do all at once. Tizo definitely needs presents. Bertrude. Hope. Okay, so yeah, you can just stack these as so you please. Quickness. Tizo's got hops. Probably get one there. One Bertrude. Hope. Let's give that to Tizo. Presence. Let's give it to Tizo. Very, very bulky Tizo. Gonna be playing a lot of defense. Okay. Let's go. Commence the final liberation. This is your final opportunity to liberate one of your fellow exiles and help fulfill Wolfred's plan. You have gained the summit of Mount Elodio for the 7th time. Very few stars remain above to light your way as you await the commencement of the final liberation rite. Lone Minstrel finds you clutching the Book of Rites, seeking there, perhaps, some bit of wisdom that has eluded you thus far. Reader, you may not have a chance to speak again after this. I may have to go. I wish to say that I am grateful for having made your acquaintance, and I shall remember you with fondness. I wish you well, this night and always. Go forth with glory. Then he looks up, and he extends his hand in friendship. You clasp it. You see Tizo has joined you. All of your companions are there with him, in fact. Skrahakri! Tizo wants you to know he has the utmost faith in you. Oh, hi, miss. The others, they said they wanted me to join them and come talk to you, so here I am. The scribes are watching us. Well, the reader is a girl, so... Or at least my reader is a girl. Reading one, thou art both wiser and less irritating than most of others of thy kind. We have learned something from thee, and we are grateful. Look upon your fellow exiles, your companions with whom you have withstood the downside, with whom you shall now conduct this final rite. Begging your pardon, but my time has come. We shall see each other soon. He departs. After this night, the outcome of Wolfred's plan, the plan of which you have all been a part, shall be decided one way or another. For now, all you can do is strive to prevail against your final adversaries, so that one last companion may go free. You rise to join your fellow exiles as the last remaining stars unite. The final liberation rite of this age shall now commence. We shall reunite someday. None. We go this with utmost purity and highest chance of success. Having come this far, you need but take the final steps upon your quest for freedom.
Look, for one last time, upon the fall of Solium, dear reader. Hear me for one last time. For soon, the few remaining stars shall fade away, leaving you stranded there for your remaining days in that forsaken land where you deserve to be. The rabble that you roused here in the Commonwealth shall be put down. The exiles whom you liberated all shall fall in line. But first, let us get on with this last liberation rite. You face none other than yourselves. Each so unlike the glorious Nightwings of yore. 'Tis a shame that one of you shall soon be free, for you deserve each other.
The pyres burn, and each of the triumvirates is present and prepared. But before the lone minstrel can concur, as per the custom, not another word. The demon Orlek slowly raises his clawed fingers to his mask. The false Nightwings have arrived at last. Long have I awaited this, my freedom once stolen from me, and I was cheated of it here, upon this mountaintop. You may now attempt to take it from me once more. He stands there for a moment, silent, then Orlek dons his mask and stands prepared. May these damned rites cease forever for the misery which they caused. Nightwings, we shall not meet again after tonight, for the cycle of the rites is all but ended. Thus, I would have your decision. On whose behalf shall you conduct this final liberation rite? The one whom you anoint, or else the exile Orlek shall be returned. Godspeed, reader. You know what is at stake better than I. I have utmost faith in you to make the best decision and conduct this rite with the glory. Nightwings, the stars remaining light grows dim. Your decision, please. I want to read over Orlek. At this point, I think Orlek's too far gone. He used to be a very kind individual. Not anymore. Seems to just be fed up with everything. I think it wouldn't serve any upside to have him be free instead of on our own. It's time now to choose who, if anyone among you, shall go free this one last time. The rest of you shall remain in the downside till the end of your days. One by one, you meet the gazes of each of your fellow exiles. Tizo, Faye, Bertrude, your fellow exiles, your companions, your friends. Together you have come this far, but now, the downside and the rights conspire to tear your group apart and disrupt your plan. Are you prepared to choose this one last time? Oh, the pressure's too great. It seems both cruel and unfair to have such a decision. Is there no other way? Yes, for there's no turning back. The fate of your friends in the Commonwealth may hinge on the decision you are about to make. Is there no other way? I wish there was. It's ending. Everything is ending. I think the only way that things can change is if the Commonwealth in its entirety changes. But at a glance, you reassure your fellow exiles that you know what to do.
One final opportunity for salvation.
We can read over Orlek just to verify. The shadow of the past. He's a former exile of the Nightwings, betrayed and abandoned in his moment of glory. He was a demon. He is a demon. He was a physician, one with exceptional knowledge of the mind and body and their ceaseless list of vague concerns. In subordination, he refused the direct order to return to the tending casualties on the blood border. Insurrection. The records show that he harbored sympathies for the enemy and showed no love of country. He was trying to help both ally and because they were wounded nonetheless. He had survived 18 years. He was repulsed by what he saw on the blood border, which sowed in his heart a yearning for a greater peace. He tried to use his influence to negotiate a treaty with the High Wing remnants, but not everyone was swayed. One day he received direct orders to return to the front. When he refused to soil his hands again, they cast him down. There, in time, he became affiliated with the Nightwings. He grew to become one of their finest rights conductors, until tragedy struck. He was left clinging to life at foot of the sacred mountain. He's not the one he once was, though. Dragon Age 2? I didn't play Dragon Age 2. But the one who's going to be most helpful for the plan is Bertrude. This is Tizo's home, and as much as I would love to have him have a new home, I don't think Tizo's presence would be the most important to the plan. Faye seems to be doing just fine here. With the wagon, with Tizo, with... Enjoy the story, not the gameplay. I've heard such things of Dragon Age 2. Yeah, Faye seems to be, honestly, perfectly fine here. Bertrude would also be perfectly fine here, but as far as the plan goes, I think Bertrude would be the most important.
Bertrude.
Feeling okay with friends, but not all friends are gone. Tizo's still there, and the wagon, and also the friend from Delbert's team. I don't remember the Fate. She seems to be doing all right. We have no fondness for the Commonwealth, nor should we return unto that realm. We shall endeavor to transform it in accordance with our plan. Your choice is cast. As for your other companions, you sense a clarity of thought and purpose in each of them. They stand ready to support Bertrude, as well as you.
Who shall be at her side? Faye.
Blessed are the scribes who grant to me and all of us this final chance, that we might free our dear friend Bertrude.
Tizo.
Creaky. Tizo is ready to do whatever it takes to see Bertrude regain her freedom this night.
Very well.
Those are my adversaries then. And who is it, I wonder, who asserts her will over that group? You sense Orlek searching for you, almost reaching out to you. You, the shadow of the false Nightwings. They are nothing to me, but you who would relinquish your own liberty for the sake of them. Strange. It is fitting, then, that I should have to face one such as you. And Orlek stands at the ready, signaling for his two allies to do the same. By light of dawn, the cycle of the rites shall cease. Let us see if we can finish this ordeal before that time. The sky above begins to shudder. The final liberation rite is about to commence. Tariq! Aye, I am prepared, Celeste. Then let our song this evening shake the stars themselves. Aye, Celeste. Let us make sure of it. I'm disappointed to see you here, Tizo. Opposing me once more. Rikra! Tizo's very upset. Calls for Orlek to seek speaking to him. Orlek seems to stare at him for a moment. It is a shame that you are caught up in the middle of all this, little one. Your mind has been poisoned against me. Rikra! Tizo insists that Orlek is wrong and urges him to stop what he is doing. I am sorry, Tizo. Now I shall only say this to you once. Stay out of my way.
The final chance at liberation for the age.
Yido, Splendido. Whoa, that's... Oh no! That hop was very powerful. Thanks for the pass. No! Oh. Skyring's ash. Soon shall your pyres own mingle with them. Just then the skies above begin to rain down fire. The final throes of the cycle of the rites, the ending of the age. That's not a fun start. Oh! Get in there! So the false Nightwings bear their fangs at last. But that cannot be your finest effort. You think you deserve your freedom more than I? Then fight for it, damn you. Ah, gosh dang. Intercepted. Ah. Orlek stands breathing heavily. He looks back on the thin lick of flame that is his molding pyre, before turning his attention back to your triumvirate.
How he has changed, that Orlek. Grown old and bitter.
Oh, he's...
Years.
Tizo! Why couldn't I fly? I couldn't fly there for a sec. That was strange.
And there it is. The Nightwings proved their
Perfect.
worth. Their adversaries they defeated utterly. Thus ends the liberation rite. And thus the scribes have chosen
Foreseeable outcome, and the one which we decide. You look upon Bertrude, for what you expect shall be the last time you see each other. Any moment now, the Shimmer Pool shall engulf her. Any moment now, she shall return to glory and join with Wolfred's agents in the Commonwealth to help achieve the plan. Any moment now, Cycle of the Rights shall end until at least the dawn of a new age. Any moment now.
And thus the scribes have chosen. And
Uh-oh.
thus the scribes have chosen. And thus the scribes have chosen. Oh, Nightwings. Reader, what have you done?
A fortunate result, now coupled with an inauspicious turn. Each prior time upon the fall of Solium, the Shimmer Pool has opened, following the Liberation Rite, and taken in whichever exile prevailed. Now, all is still, and the light of the stars above has all but died. You sense a growing fear that it is already too late, that the Shimmer Pool shall not reveal itself again. Orlek approaches, his head bowed. These scribes saved their greatest treachery for last. Then something else catches his notice. Wait. A sudden rush of starlight cascades through the stillness of the summit. The Shimmer Pool has appeared again. Different, somehow, but open. Bertrude looks upon it, but it does not engulf her. At least, not yet. It seems I was mistaken then. The 8 scribes. This is not their greatest treachery. It is their greatest jest. The Shimmer Pool is flung wide open. It seems that all are worthy now of freedom. Orlek strides towards the Shimmer Pool, but... Oh, Orlek. Orlek glances over at the lone minstrel, almost in surprise. The Shimmer Pool has lost most of its strength. You step inside, and you surely drown. Of that, I can assure you. He laughs to himself at this. Then, we have all been cheated. No, the Shimmer Pool is revealed, and one of you may still return, as planned. But, as for who returns, someone shall have to choose, ere the last light of the stars is extinguished, and the rites cease to be. This is the final trial of the scribes. The final trial of the scribes. Then, our confrontation, the liberation rite, was all meaningless? No. The victor of the confrontation is to be the one to make the choice among those closest to the scribes, either the anointed or she who anointed them. That's... We may still return, although perhaps the reading one may leave this place instead. Aye. It shall either be you, the reader, or... It shall be either or. Bertrude, please make your decision quickly, lest it shall be forfeit. I do not know for how much longer the light of the stars shall offer you this gift. We mislike having to rush unnecessarily, yet we are decided here. This. We believe it ought to be the reading one which shall return. Go now from this place. Bertrude wishes to give up her freedom so that you may regain yours. Very well. Reader, madam, the choice which Bertrude made, or rather, the choice which she gave, it is now yours to make instead. This choice may keep bouncing back and forth like this. Absurd. It may, until such time as one of you is willing to accept the burden and the outcome, the choice. That is the trial, and I fear that there is little time remaining now. Reader, you and your companion are too cordial with each other to accept that freedom, either one of you, and I shall gladly take it. Freedom ought to be more than some flirtatious trifle to exchange. Reader, what is your will? Who shall finally go free? He earned his rightful freedom long ago. He deserves his justice. He deserved it at the time, but at the moment, no, I would not say he has. Choose Bertrude. Your intention this night was for her to return to glory, and it shall be done. Choose yourself. This is your chance, and Bertrude wished that you should take it. Bertrude wished it. Bertrude doesn't particularly even want to be back in the Commonwealth. She would be helpful to the plan, but so would I. It feels almost selfish, but no, at this point, for the betterment of the plan, and for should the plan not be everything we anticipate it, for the people remaining in the downside to be those who have some affinity for it. I'm gonna choose myself. So that the genie goes free. That too. If Orlek had shown some sign of... If Orlek had shown some sign as to recovering back to his old self, I would have probably considered Orlek, but no. He is not what he once was. He was not the one who gained their freedom anymore. Your mind is made up. You have chosen to be free yourself. I see and understand. Then it is done. Bertrude looks to you, this one last time, her heart filled with unspoken understanding. You then turn to Lone Minstrel for an instant, but another instant later, he's gone. He and everyone. All you feel is the coldness of the rush of water coursing all around you. Bertrude gave her freedom so that you may yet have yours. You're set to return to the Commonwealth and leave the downside forever. May you return to glory.
Godspeed, reader. By the scribes. No stars remain aloft. The cycle of the rites. It is finished. The Commonwealth. What shall become of it? What shall become of us? Nightwings. The
You chose our way.
opportunity to gain your freedom from the downside. Was it not enough?
I don't know. I couldn't make it a train of logic outside of just that he had earned his freedom before, that he would be the one I would choose. At night, in exile, the reader returned to the Commonwealth. She was to be the last. The stars had faded, and the cycle of the rites had run its course. She found the Commonwealth in great upheaval. Spurred by the efforts of 6 liberated exiles, Wolfred Sandalwood's revolutionary plan had incited the masses. These exiles and the starless sky portended the return of the scribes. The return of the scribes. The people surged into the streets, shoulder to shoulder. Led by the 6 exiles, their voices shook the heavens. The leadership of the Commonwealth panicked. No blood was shed that night, and by dawn, it was over. the leaders of the Commonwealth had cast themselves back into exile or joined in this new cause. Thus, in its 838th year, the Commonwealth had fallen. The new Saurian Union declared its sovereignty in the next year. Among the changes its elected leaders ushered in, they vowed never to cast their people into exile. They abolished the old Commonwealth decree forbidding literacy. Today, we shall remember all of this. And we remember the exiles of the downside, whose deeds led to the dawning of our age, whether they returned or not. True freedom. And now what? We can take a look and read everyone. How everyone choose someone to learn what became of them since last we met. How's Tizo? How's my son? Once the rites had ended, the imp Tizo had a job to do. Quite unlike most exiles trapped forever in the downside. The lone minstrel asked that he watch over the black wagon, which the Nightwings had used extensively for travel and for shelter all throughout their quest. Tizo obliged, for he knew that wagon, as well as its tribe imp inhabitants, better than any. What became of the wagon exactly was never verified, as evidence of Tizo's thorough work. After that, he liked to while away his days with any of his friends, or else with fellow imps. He would visit his friend Faye at every opportunity. She was among the few who could consistently interpret what he meant, and they were always close since first they met. Wilfred Sandalwood would sometimes send him little gifts, all the way from the downside. Despite the insurmountable distance between them, their friendship proved more than resilient. Tizo often missed his interactions with the reader of the Nightwings. They had quickly built quite a rapport back in the downside. You were once an exile sentenced to life in the downside, now you are free. It's merely the status of a demon. Yet, now a revered title, the Saurian. Indeed, Tizo would often express wishful gratitude for all his time with the Nightwings, and their many adventures throughout the land. That was always his home. Other than that, Tizo would sometimes help interpret for messenger imps relaying news to and from the Saurian Union. Our nation formed in 839 AS, after the fall of the Commonwealth. One day we may all stand shoulder to shoulder with a common cause. Despite having gained significant celebrity abroad, he never let it go to his head. And he would go fishing in the Sea of Solace at every single chance he got. I don't like that they fade below. I can read through all the unnecessary ones now. I just really wanted to check in with my lad. After the final liberation rite, Lendl refused to believe that the rites had truly ended. He would sit through night after consecutive night, staring into the blackness of the sky, awaiting any kind of sign that he might gain another chance at freedom. No such sign ever came. His fellow accusers started to express concern for him. Survival had become their top priority. Once liberated, liberty has slipped from their grasp. But Lendl dismissed them as weak fools. He insisted rather forcefully that any evening now the stars would shine for him again and mark the way toward his inevitable freedom. He was, of course, mistaken. The others in his triumvirate were left with little choice but to abandon him. After that, the exile known as Lendl the Liar was never seen again. However, there have been some sightings of a bedraggled demon who wanders the downside and bears Lendl's cruel countenance, suggesting he yet lives. As the cycles of the rites drew to a close, it grew evident that a chance at freedom from the downside had forever slipped from Dalbert and Elmer Oldheart's grasp. Thus, they and the exiles of the Fate returned to Yrmir Valley, where they struggled to get by as the exiles of the downside did. Yes, Tizo is thought to also be a descendant of Haub the Swamp, one of the scribes. Sometime after the rites had ended, the Old Hearts at last heard the news that the Commonwealth had fallen. This was well after the fact, of course, but it brought old Dalbert great joy. Despite his forthright manner, he had no love for the nation that cast him down, along with his son. Dalbert Oldheart passed peacefully in his sleep before the next new moon. In his final days, he implored his son to undertake a pilgrimage to the scribes. Almer never shared his father's view of the scribes. but respected Delbert's wishes, and so after a period of mourning, Elmer began a new journey. One day during his travels, he ran almost headlong into another exile after paying homage at the spring of Yomir. He was stunned to find that this was none other than the one he knew as Faye, from their days as adversaries in the rites. Faye was overjoyed to see him, though Elmer was unable to bring himself to understand why. Eventually, of course, he did, and they remained together, growing ever more accustomed to their new lives in the downside. Not a day went by that Elmer Oldhart did not think about his father, give thanks to him, and speak to him that morning and at night. Would that the stars yet shone, for surely Delbert's would be there among them, smiling down at his son, and watching over him and his kin. Oh, happy. After the cycle of the rites had ceased, Witch Udmild returned to the Flagging Hands region, where she sealed herself within the Pit of Melee. There, even her fellow exiles of the Withdrawn allegedly grew unnerved after a time, and left her to her vile work. Sometime later, the Pit of Melee erupted into flame. So intense was the conflagration that it could be seen all the way from Yomir Valley. Arson was suspected, though the cause was never verified, and many bog dwellers in the region were forced to flee. A tempest blowing from the north finally quenched the flame. When at last the ashes settled and the grounds had cooled, the site of the fire was scarred beyond recognition. No trace of Witch Udmil could be found. As for the contents of the Pit of Melee, which notably included a profane object thought to be the remnants of Eastlatch, all of it was gone as well. Back in the Saurian Union, Udmild's repeated threats of the return of Eastlatch were thoroughly investigated, and no credence was found to any of her claims. She does have a good bop. All his life, Sir Deluge had fled from one danger, only to find himself facing another. He had escaped the war-torn waters of the Sea Dominion, he had escaped the blood border of the Commonwealth, and now he had escaped the rites. After the rites had ended, many exiles wrapped up in the ancient test were crestfallen, as their last chances to return to their homes vanished, along with the stars above. But Deluge did not mind, for this outcome meant that, at last, there was no burden of responsibility weighing down on him. While most of his fellow exiles of the Power Hearts yet longed for the waters of the Sea Dominion, driven as ever by their impulses toward conflict, Deluge settled down. With him remained one of his companions, one Lady Seagrass, who had taken a liking to him for some reason. For some reason. Reportedly, they disappeared into the waters of Worm Gulf, which may begin to explain the significant increase in worm population observed in the vicinity. They took no downtime. Marker Ashpaws never had much interest in returning to the Commonwealth, for he always found its bylaws to be stifling, so when the rites ended, he did not care, at first. He soon grew very bored. The rites had given his life a certain sense of structure he had always needed. He missed the raw anticipation of it all. He decided to continue conducting the rites for the thrill of it. He bent some of the rules and replaced some of the objects, but it was close enough. Perfectly fine with losing, just wanted to continue to play Mystical Swordsball. Now 100% less mystic. His packmates, the Dissidents, proved more than happy to participate, and thus they ran against each other back in Yomir Valley. Gradually, other exiles familiar with the rites, as well as those who had not heard of it at all, started to take an interest. They ended up giving Barker Ashpaws some healthy competition. His old feud with the rookie Greentail ceased meaning anything to him, and he forgot all about it amid his new pursuits. Ultimately, even Barker Ashpaws, who had led such a directionless existence to that point, found something of a calling through the rites. Whether he took the rites less seriously than any other exile of his time, or more, was oft debated by those who watched him work. Hi, Paladino. Welcome, and happy born. Thanks for stopping by. Throughout her exile, Tamitha Thane was motivated by a single goal, to return to the Commonwealth and exact vengeance on her ancient enemies. When she realized the rites had ended, and that she would never see her mountain home again, she nonetheless remained determined to aid her people however possible. She had gathered certain information pertaining to the intentions of the Night Twins, who had formed a pact to regroup on the other side after their liberation. Other such reports exposed certain weaknesses in the Commonwealth defenses and revealed to the high-wing remnants the opportunity for a risky but potentially impactful strike. As Tamitha could not participate in the assault, she learned what happened well after the outcome. On that night, known as the Scribe's Return, the Commonwealth had fallen. The high-wing remnants thus prevailed, at last, without even having to fight. Inspired by the liberated exiles, the people of the Commonwealth demanded new leadership. Cast yourselves down, chant. And the Scribes returned. Soon after the fall of the Commonwealth, Tamitha learned her blood sister Pamitha was an accessory to the successful outcome. Tamitha was very skeptical of this, but as similar reports kept mounting, she soon accepted that the prevailing opinion, however grudging. Once a messenger imp arrived bearing some sort of message, seemingly from Pamitha. However, Tamitha turned it away. She would not give in to an impulse to forgive. Knowing that the conflict on the other side had ended, Tamitha retreated to the crags of Black Basin and grew ever more distant. Those closest to her surmised that her inability to reconcile with her blood sister was at the heart of this, though for her part, Tamitha never once admitted any such weakness. How's this prick doing? When Manly Tinderstaff realized that the rites had ended and that he no longer could return to the Commonwealth through his ancient means, he was outraged. He cursed the scribes, spewing forth such a slew of blasphemy as to be very unbecoming of one of his high status and bearing. At last he calmed himself. He focused all his energies on attempting to find another means of homecoming. He maintained regular contact with his wealthy family on the other side via messenger and used their vast resources to explore other means of escape. He tried using an elaborate pulley system. He attempted to retrofit a flying black wagon with superior propulsion. Tried an imp raft, a hot air balloon, even prayer. Nothing worked. There was only one way to escape the downside, and now it was gone. Tinderstaff bankrupted his family in these vain attempts. At last, such was his shame that he retreated to the teeming woods of Black Basin to Cinderroof. There he yet wallows, complaining to his comrades of the chastity who still put up with him, either about his own misfortune or the latest news from the other side. Good! He's a jerk. Once it became clear to Ignatius that the rites were drawing to a close, he knew that it was time for him and the Templars to call it quits. But first, he and the Templars decided to celebrate, and that they did for many, many nights. The revelry did eventually subside. The exiles parted amicably and went their separate ways. He roamed the downside then, searching for some meaning in his life. Heck, these younglings. Sometimes taking odd jobs required his brute strength. He never remained alone for very long, and took on many lovers in his time. Well. However, he sometimes thought about the one he had called Curlyhorns, and what became of her. Though his glory days as the most powerful conductor of the rites had long since passed, he always enjoyed the fearsome reputation he had cultivated at that time. What of Orla? After the Shimmer Pool closed for what would be the last time, Orlek looked around him in the flickering light of the Nightwing's still burning pyre. He then turned to the fall of Solium and looked up toward the black, starless sky. He cursed the 8 scribes then, one after the other. After that, he strode forward towards the waters coursing from the side of the Mount Alodiel, and without hesitating, he cast himself down. Orlek's body was never recovered. The drop from Mount Alodiel does not appear survivable, though Orlek did survive it once. That time, forever, he was filled with fury. Such was the betrayal he had suffered when his fellow exile claimed his rightful freedom. This time, Orlek was filled with nothingness, and chose to leave the downside in the one way he still knew he could. The other Nightwings who were witness to this never forgot what they saw. It's such a shitty story that he ended up having to do. I don't think changing my outcome would have helped much. With the rites drawn to a close, the slug market's revenues fell precipitously, and Falcon Ron was forced to liquidate his assets and close up shop. Yet, as is sometimes the case with those of an entrepreneurial leading, this time of hardship led to an epiphany, or at least a sudden change of fortune. There was another way, but the way is not evident. One day, Falcon Ron had a run-in with a messenger imp bearing news from the other side. Ron gave it to one of his remaining trinkets, which could not be sold. The following week, the messenger imp returned to him, bearing a tidy sum of wealth in newly minted coinage from the Saurian Union. Falcon Ron cut a long-term deal with the messenger imp, then and there. Though this trade remained a gray area from a legal standpoint in the Saurian Union, the newfound fame of the downside caused Falcon Ron's goods to explode in popularity. He later signed an elaborate agreement with Big Bertrude's and found a distribution partner on the other side through Rookie Greentail, whose own business had expanded. Especially in the Saurian Union, Falcon Ron's goods are still known for their superior quality, though he assumes no liability for any side effects. What happened to our pair here? After the cycle of the rites ceased turning, the lone minstrel bade the remaining Nightwings take the Black Wagon and seek their fortunes elsewhere in the downside. Their parting was heartfelt, but brief. He remained there, at the summit of Mount Elordiel, with Celeste, where the two of them would chronicle the final outcome of the cycle. Neither Tariq nor Celeste were ever seen again. We all know this now, through song attributed to them. Some claim these songs originated in the taverns of the Saurian Union, and merely were imbued with weight of folklore. However, exiles liberated from the downside corroborated each other's claims at having met this duo that presided over the liberation rites. Another folktale suggests these minstrels were heralds of the scribes. Having fulfilled their obligations, they departed the world we know and rejoined their patrons. One of their famous songs describes another, simpler outcome, that the two gave up their duties to the rites in favor of life that they could share together. In any case, they are likely to remain the subject of such verses and such songs, for it was they who watched over the rites and ushered in our times. Several exiles of the Nightwings cared more for the plan of Sandalwood than to return home from the downside. The crone called Big Bertrude is a prime example. Spark a revolution as peacefully as possible. She had found a suitable environment to live within the dismal region known as Flagging Hands. There she had built up a thriving place of business known to many exiles in the land. With the rites having ended, she returned to her preoccupations, working away almost as though nothing had happened. When one gets to be more than 400 years of age, perhaps then even monumental events, such as the culmination of the rites or the collapse of the Commonwealth, are seen as trifling matters. Much of her effort was doubtless due to the influence of Sandalwood, someone whom she had admired now for decades. Though they were very far apart now, she sought out news as to his whereabouts, and found his actions in the Saurian Union a rare source of inspiration. By and large, Bertrude kept focused on her work. Whether casting small enchantments or imbuing talismans, the work brought her a sense of purpose, she would say. In the Commonwealth, such services were strictly forbidden, but on the downside, there was real need for simple luxuries, which the competing slub market could not always provide. Thus did Big Bertrude continue to live up to her name, and the tales of her days with the Nightwings made her that much more forbidden living. Not a terrible end. Not a terrible end at all. The Wolfred.
Siltavidias.
When Wolfred Sandalwood regained his freedom, he knew that his work had only just begun. The nation that had exiled him to life in the downside now prepared to honor him, but he was not interested in such ceremony, nor in freedom on the Commonwealth's own terms. He soon rejoined his agents, with whom he had been coordinating for years, slowly, carefully, preparing for a night that soon would come. For Sandalwood and his loyalists and sympathizers, true freedom was at stake, not just theirs, that of everyone living under the Commonwealth. He hoped to gather liberated exiles representing each of the 8 largest ethnic groups composing the population of the Commonwealth. They would stand together as a vision of the 8 scribes' return, inspiring the masses to embrace an older set of values from before the Commonwealth had tightened its grip. With the rites having ended sooner than expected, this optimal scenario became impossible. But Sandalwood did not relent and prepared to execute his plan, imperfect though it was. On the night of the scribe's return, he stood as one of 6 former exiles of the Nightwings, and their voices echoed together through the streets. These former exiles, who ought to have disappeared into the ranks of the Commonwealth's own leadership, now stood united with its people, who poured from their homes in solidarity. It was imperative to Sandalwood that this stand against the Commonwealth be peaceful in its nature. An overwhelming show of popular support would be more than enough, ensuring that this was his priority that night, and in the end, the result was self-evident. The plan's goal had been achieved. Sandalwood's work, far from over, still he labored ceaselessly with representatives from across the population to restore a sense of stability. This transitional period had its troubles, though none that were not quickly solved. Such was the will and spirit of the people. They understood their freedom, carried new responsibility. After the Saurian Union was born the next day, Sandalwood was elected as the nation's first prime minister. It was not his intent to run for this office, but the people chose him anyway. He led our fledgling nation through its nascent years. He invited the perspective of the reader of the Nightwings at every opportunity and counted her of one of his chief advisors and most trusted friends. Nice. As Wilfred Sandalwood gained more fame throughout this land for all his sacrifices and his contributions, he remained ever steadfast about 2 things. The first was that the cause itself ought to remain in focus. The freedom that the people had achieved, it was a gift to be cherished, a set of values that needed to be nurtured. The second point he made was that he himself had little to do with the outcome. He would often praise the exiles of the Nightwings who had stood with him, each in turn by name. He never forgot any of them. One day on his birthday, the people of the Saurian Union presented to him a monument depicting him and the Nightwings as imagined in their prime. It has since ensured that those of us with memories more fallible than that of Sandalwood likewise remember the achievements of his fellow former exiles and our cause. What of Pamitha? After regaining her freedom, Pamitha Thane found herself in a difficult position. Having once betrayed her people of the Highwing remnants, she knew that she would not be welcome in her native home. She did not trust the Commonwealth either. Instead, she found her place among Wilfred Sandalwood's agents, who were busy doing their part to fulfill the plan. As it turned out, the plan was a success. Pamitha Thane stood shoulder to shoulder with her fellow former exiles, and truly they were a sight to behold. A disturbing rumor later spread that night the Highwing remnants were slated to mount an assault, which for some reason never came to pass. Pamitha denied any knowledge or involvement. Afterward, Pamitha played an active part in negotiating terms between the Highwing remnants and the new nation that would become our Saurian Union. Her previous attempt at something of the sort led her to exile. She must have felt some satisfaction to succeed this time around. That's why I wanted to free Pamitha. Sometime later, Pamitha had an unexpected run-in with Rookie Greentail, with whom she had spent a fair amount of time while traveling with the Nightwings. She spent very little time together, actually. Under these new set of circumstances, it turned out the two had more to talk about, and rather more in common. They'd often put to test which one was able to outdrink the other. It's unclear as to which one of them prevailed in that contest in the end. Little time around you. That's fair. That's fair. Pamitha was our 4th one freed. One day, Pamitha received an invitation to return to the Highwing remnants, where she was to be fully pardoned. She held out a hope that she might see her blood sister Tamitha there, knowing full well that Tamitha did not regain her freedom. Tamitha did later learn that Pamitha was welcomed back by their people. However, she never responded to her blood sister's attempts to contact her. Pamitha, in turn, did not expect any forgiveness from her at any point. Nonetheless, she kept on trying to reach out, and she said to ruffle up her feathers just a bit. Later, when asked, Pamitha Thane admitted she felt as though she had no home to call her own. This was during an interview conducted amid an extensive trip abroad, where she had traveled thousands of leagues beyond the bounds of the Saurian Union. Pamitha continued to journey thus, saying that it reminded her of when she was younger and could fly unfettered. I may have been able to get a better ending if I freed both Pamitha and Tamitha for her, but I don't know. I feel I would have rather kept everyone else free. What of Gilman? When the worm Gilman returned to the Commonwealth, he believed that he had regained something even more important than his freedom, his honor. Gilman relinquished his knighthood and declined an opportunity to serve as a captain on the bald border. He was not interested in fighting any longer. Yet, as it is sometimes the case with those such as he, a circumstance soon came about in which there came a need for him to once again make use of his military training. Thankfully, however, the scribe's return ended peaceably. Gilman was on the edge throughout that night, expecting violence to erupt at any moment, but the moment never came. When the matter was at last put to rest, then Gilman truly knew his time as a knight had ended. He declared to all those in earshot that he would never fight again. Unless, of course, there arose some other extraordinary set of circumstance, again requiring him to fight, but he certainly hoped not. He still trained regularly, just in case, especially with his fleet-footed friend, Ruki Greed. Heck, these yawns. I don't know why they're happening. I'm not feeling tired. He was always grateful for the counsel of the reader, and would regale her over and over about the time they squashed the spawn of unfathomed Cloness. By that point, he had long forgotten about his days under the leadership of Sir Deluge, his former commander. Breaking free of his abusive leadership was his first step toward gaining a bit of self-respect. Gilman never did return to his homeland of the Sea Dominion, and was content to live a monastic life on a small residence in the hills. It was just high up enough to make him keep striving to conquer his fear of heights. Other than that, an intense daily regimen and the occasional visit from an old companion was more than enough to keep him optimistic and engaged. He knew by then that honor was not something to be won, but a contract with oneself to be renewed each day. Not many remain. What happened? Faye. Long after the rites had ended, Faye admitted that she knew well before the fact that she would not be going home again. At least, she had a very strong feeling. She ended up not minding very much, because she had little to return to in the Commonwealth. Her sense of home had changed. She took to wandering from one celestial landmark to the next, ever paying homage to the 8 scribes who she believed had influenced all that transpired. She was no stranger to traveling alone, but was always happy to have company. Among her friends, she always remained close with Tizo, who, more so than anyone, could always make her laugh. Though they could not see each other any longer, Faye often thought about Jadario and spoke to her as though she were there. Faye tried never to make a decision without first consulting her idea of what Miss Jadario might say. One day she encountered one of her former adversaries, one called Elmer Oldheart, who had served with the Fate. She remembered him much more than he did her, though only just at first. Their shared experience in the rites and their different points of view about the scribes formed the basis of what grew to be a long-lasting relationship. Faye always was devoted to her faith, but more so to her friends. Her gentle manner and unwavering conviction often helped with them brave life in the downside, both with courage and with grace. Ending someone else got where Tamitha and Pamitha both got free was that the revolution began to turn violent, but ended up being put down quickly when the High-Wing remnants attacked at the critical moment and overthrew the Commonwealth. Oof! I would assume that was like a lower percentage of success, and also with Pamitha and Tamitha free. It's interesting. I'm sure there's quite a bit of differing nuance that can happen depending on what your percentage of the plan correct was, as well as who was freed and who wasn't freed. Supposedly, Tam rejoined the High Wings, and Pam fed information to the High Wings in exchange for them not attacking civilians during their assault. They've reconciled in that one. And when it's all text like this, you don't need a massive art budget. Yeah, you don't have to actively portray it all. Just need to have very good wording. After the cycle of the rites ceased turning, records of what happened to the Black Wagon of the Nightwings became inconclusive and contradictory. Some accounts suggest that the exiles of the Nightwings who remained at the downside continued to make use of the Black Wagon as their place of shelter, their means of travel. You can get an ending where any of the characters get to go back to the Commonwealth. Yeah. You could literally have... The amount of endings is actually quite vast. Though many endings are probably very similar, just with a few individual stories altered here and there. However, there is no record of what happened to the wagon's contents, such as the Book of Rites or the Beyonder Crystal, said to be haunted by the apparition Sandra the Unseen. One possibility is that when the lone minstrel took his leave, he took the Beyonder crystal with him, or he was thus obliged. There's no true ending. Hi, Marky. Thanks for stopping by. By this line of reasoning, however, the Black Wagon itself should have been taken also. Others remain skeptical that the Beyonder crystal ever existed, or rather, that the visions that it granted were anything other than the result of an active imagination or a fever dream. The bog dwellers of the southern bogs offer still another explanation, for they are familiar with binding enchantments. K-Mac is spitting the truth thing. If there exists such an object, in which the Sisters of the Arch had been expelled for more than 800 years, then the enchantment could have expired along with the light of the stars. Heck you, K-Mac. What this would have meant for Sandra and the Beyonders is difficult to say for certain, other than it may have meant that they were finally released. Nevertheless, the fates of Sandra and the Beyonder Crystal remain unknown. Yet those exiles of the Nightwings who claim to have seen this apparition all spoke of her with degrees of reverence, or perhaps a little fear. Can you believe this, reader? Honestly? Sandra has appeared before you, as well you can see. They are so far from the mark with all this nonsense. I am wont to laugh. In fact, he goes. She laughs. She is referring to the account of her. You sense she does not care for it. Well, let them gossip all they like. I merely wish that they wouldn't mention you, at least in passing, when next they are at it. Though they shall never know even the half of it, shall they? Sandra seems irritated by the incomplete account of what happened to her. Sometimes Sandra just needs a little time to vent. She values that you listen. Humor her. Perhaps making some light of the situation will make Sandra feel better. Reassure her the account was relatively flattering despite a lack of detail. It could have been. I don't know. I'm going to go with Sandra's sass. You indicate to Sandra that the real truth of what happened between you would perhaps make too lascivious a tale to be told in such a form. She makes a bemused sound at this. Perhaps that story ought to get out then. To think that they would go to all the trouble to make literacy accepted once again, only to print such drivel. Anyway, let us keep going, lovely reader. We know the truth of it. That is what matters. She fades into the Beyonder crystal for now, and you tuck it away safe. And for our final three. After her liberation, Jordariel soon became an icon of the movement that led to the collapse of the Commonwealth and the rise of the Saurian Union. Her horns and stern countenance inspired the people to believe that she was Solium Mer, reborn. She became a great, if reluctant, leader. In the uncertain times that followed, Jordariel's seasoned expertise often came into play both in matters of security and of state. For instance, she conscripted and trained a team of volunteers in public safety. Their community did not know what to make of such a cordial bunch at first, but soon came to value their service. Lascivious, of a person, manner, or gesture, feeling or revealing an overt or often offensive sexual desire. Seems fitting. Also, hi, Fortune. Thanks for stopping by. They have stood for the people ever since, and we celebrate their founding day each year. She remained close with Hedwyn all through this experience, and they supported each other through their struggles many, many times. She often had to stop herself from fearing for Faye, whom she had tried to look after as much as possible on the downside. Soon she would reassure herself that Faye was very capable of surviving on her own, and in fact, she was not mistaken. Read across Sandra forever. She continued training on her own, a regimen that grew strict with each passing year. There were those who sought to train with her, and she sometimes obliged. There remained one other constant in her life. She would always remember her days among the Nightwings, and with fondness, for the most part. Day 3 of the cutie wars. Neither sides are willing to back down. There are no signs of who shall win. This war shall remain for many years. What of Rookie?
Consilta vidias.
After Rookie Greentail earned back his freedom, he returned to a lavish welcome ceremony in the Commonwealth, as was the tendency for liberated exiles. It was everything he could have hoped for, and soon he was well off, surrounded by luxury, in choosing between various exciting opportunities. However, he must have given into his better judgment, as he did end up siding with Wilfred Sandalwood's revolutionary forces as promised. On the night of Scribe's return, a Greentail was there with many others, inspiring the masses. He never looked prouder, the very image of Ymir Minimane himself. When dawn finally came, it became clear that the Commonwealth that everybody knew would be no more. He realized many new opportunities awaited. He began quite a lucrative career for himself, manufacturing and selling replica merchandise inspired by the downside. His main struggle was to meet demand. An aspect of his conscience cautioned him against making light of such a thing, but the money was too good, and soon his family was as well off as he always said. One of his orders of business was to seek out one of his old companions, Pamitha Thane, to whom he took a liking during their quest for freedom. They bonded further over love of drink, and supported one another through uncertain times that lay in store. He also kept in close touch with Gilman, ever the perfect practice partner. They would train together often, taking care to stay in tip-top shape as much as possible throughout the years. Greentail always did his best to keep in touch with all his many friends, and knew he owed his fortunes to them. He made a special point of staying close with the group of friends he came to know so well during his times with the Nightwings, wherever they were. They shared a special understanding that put even Greentail at a loss for words sometimes. What about our handsome boy? After his liberation, Hedwyn was instrumental in the events leading to the fall of the Commonwealth. It was vital to the outcome of the plan. The peaceful outcome of the Scribe's return was attributed to several key factors. One of them was the underlying ambition of the plan itself. Another was Hedwyn's visibility among the people in the streets. Identified to be a liberated exile, he was believed to be Golothanian, reborn. More importantly, however, was that one of the winged harps of the High Wing remnants accompanied him. She was later identified as Fikani Shang. Their bond was symbolic of what was at stake that night and proved vital to the peace that followed. In all his days as a leader in the Saurian Union, Hedwyn oft confined in his friend Jadari. Despite her intense manner, there was no one whom he trusted more in times when circumspection was required. Hedwyn would often think back about the vow he made at the beginning of his quest for freedom. Although he cherished all the friendships he made, he had pledged to Jadario, Rookie Greentail, and the Reader of the Nightwings that they might all be free again, together. His promise had come to pass, though he always knew that this was not his own doing. He was always deeply grateful to the other three, his closest friends. While the others who stood with the Nightwings were not all able to remain in contact with us, Hedwyn thought of each of them often, and so in turn did they oft think of him. There is one more account which warrants mention. The Nightwings conducted the rites under the guidance of a reader. Little is known of her. However, some accounts of her begin to paint a picture. We know she was of common birth, always directionless and prone to misremembering at times. The journey to the downside had left her close to death. It was then that the Nightwings found her. They brought her from the brink. She showed them the path. She pressed onward with the others. She had made a vow to help her friends be free. Thus did the cycle of the rites commence its final turns. When the final rite arrived, the reader's freedom was at stake. That freedom she indeed achieved ere the morning's light. From that point on, accounts of her diverged. It is said the voice which troubled her she never heard again. Some say she helped to form our Saurian Union. Though whether that is true, only she knows. Someday, perhaps, the reader's own star shall emerge. Then shall pierce the dark of night in all its brilliant glory, until such time, and ever after, all of us give thanks.
Their journey began on a barren
Is that us? No, that seems to be a headwind.
Of the night wings who, having broken the cycle, shall live on.
Yeah, it's headwind. And it's Shadar.
Headwind prevailed and strode the path that his heart laid before him. He has found his way home. Captain Joe Dariel, mother to many a foundling, she has found her way home.
Supergiant. It makes such incredible games.
Has proved his worth and returned to his family by the grace of the scribes. They follow the stars bound to
If you could make this a looping background, that would actually be incredible.
The moon-touched girl feels the skies in the heart of the downside. She remained to the end.
Thank you, K-Mac, for the 100 bits. You did, in fact, do
Though
it.
the wise, ever faithful to the cause of the night wings.
Pyre is probably your least liked game by then, but I still like it a lot. Just like the other games more. I think I'd probably say the same. It is a very fundamentally different game than their others. It would be a fair assessment to call their other games kind of action RPGs in a sense. At the very least with Bastion and Transistor. Versus this being substantially a choose your own adventure game with a rather interesting sport in it. It's a very fundamentally different experience and one that is I don't know. It's very unlike any game I've honestly played. So it's also very difficult to categorize. But I still absolutely do love this game. And I don't know. I might honestly put it like just below Bastion. If I had played Bastion more near launch, I think I would have a higher upholding of Bastion. But as of right now, I'd still put Transistor as my favorite that I've played. But I have not played Hades yet. I was waiting. I'm still waiting for full release before I give it a shot. You're really struggling with parts? Oh, Bastion don't have to play this one. There's even phone seen from the back.
As we bid farewell and return to the stars, we shall find our way home. We shall find
here? A library? You're welcome. Yeah. True Nightwing campaign mode unlocked. I have no idea what that is. Probably starting off with all the 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 Titans stars available. Fashion was good, but Transistor and Hades and to some degree Pyre had the advantage of being built upon its shoulders and any other. Yeah, that's true. Props basically in the game plus. Yeah, probably. That too. But yeah, I don't know. This felt like very much a Supergiant game, but also just a incredible departure from what anyone was ever really gonna expect from them. Because the jump from Bastion to Transistor felt like a logical one. Very much kind of an action RPG kind of oriented thing. Very high emphasis on story. Um, and intricate ways to make every single level up or every single increase that you get very important and impactful. And also maintaining that narrator type of dialogue uh, with um, with a way of explaining the story. But then Pyre just kind of like and still feels like very out of left field. It is just such a very unique game in its own regard. And I absolutely adore it. As much as I would put it as my least liked of the Supergiant games, uh, that is not meant to disparage it. I really enjoyed the story. I really enjoyed the world that they created here. Uh, I would likely have more interest in the mystical basketball um, with increased difficulty. Because it felt like without the Titan modifiers, I didn't have that much trouble. I probably should have put it on hard. Um, uh, but I have high expectations that doing this with added Titan stars and then with just also the increased difficulty, there would be a lot more intricacy uh, in terms of how you're moving everything about when it comes to uh, the actual right gameplay. But yeah, I really enjoyed this game. Any of the games was to get a sequel, which games do you think you'd want? I would enjoy seeing a kind of a Bastion to Transistor kind of leap that for Pyre. I would be very interested to see where they could take this concept of a game. I would be very intrigued to see what a next iteration of this would look like. If not a direct sequel, kind of just a spiritual successor. Not a spiritual successor, but just kind of the follow up. As far as the direct sequel, I would love to see Transistor. Just because, I don't know, I absolutely adore Transistor. Transistor like hit me in so many different ways when I played it. It hit all of my gameplay sensibilities, my story sensibilities, the art, the music, it just like all hit me. And I really love Transistor. It's only one other sport RPG I've seen, and that was Golf Story. I haven't played much of Transistor. Bastion. Want to seek successor to Bastion, you can't really have a sequel since you have choices near the end, and I don't think one of them is supposed to be canon. That's true. I'd say give it a shot at it. See if you can't come at Transistor with a different light. Imagine if in the ending where you chose to have yourself go up, Bertrude pushed you off the cliff and jumped into the stream and incinerated herself. Now you're the new. I wouldn't put it past. If Bertrude was more angry, vile like the other bog witches, I wouldn't put it past her. He's the most justified evil adversary ever. Yeah. It's just like, yeah, he was objectively fucked over. And it sucks, but we had a plan to do. And unfortunately, freeing Orlek was not a part of that. Even though I have a feeling that we were at such a high percentage that we could have probably just let Orlek be free. After 3 games you've played, Bastion feels like it's best set up for a sequel. Transistor would be very interesting for a sequel, but I don't really see what such could happen. Yeah. I don't know. They all kind of have very definitive endings in their own regard. Even if Bastion did have 2 separate ones. But deja vu parts of Bastion kind of freaked you out when I noticed they were happening. Yeah. But yeah. I think with that, we are going to just double check that this is just going to take us back to the main menu. And I can see what that actual... Yeah. Just because I want to see... True Nightwing. Players who have finished the campaign, your adversaries shall be favored by the stars themselves. Base difficulty the same as heightened. All Titan stars unlocked and some must be used. Enlightenment required to rank up rescaled. Cannot load checkpoints or restart rights. Book of Rights and White Loot fully unlocked. Slug Market inventory fully unlocked. Feats of Glory introduced much sooner. Once chosen in this setting. It's very... It's new game plus and difficulty increasers. It would honestly be a lot of fun to play through on this difficulty. It would be really interesting, and also forcing you to use some of the Titan stars at any given time. It's just like, oh, who am I up against? What can I feel like I can manage to put on for the Titan stars and stuff like that? That would be a very fascinating. One that I might attempt on my own, but not now. Transistor would have to either take place inside the transistor or some plot shenanigans would have to take place to give more living. Yeah, there would have to be like other parts of the transistor universe or something like that. That would have to happen. It's mostly to force you to have the story, what will be, instead of starting to get all your people out in best ending. If people did that. I didn't, but I could foresee people save scumming the hell out of it. Visual Game Dan Pale or stream if you want to end here instead of trying to start Neo 2. I'm not going to start Neo 2. I need to go to bed. Poor books, yeah, they're all just being burned. We could play in the conspiracy series that they're actually all inside the transistor in the game's about exiting. First playthrough, you probably would have saved scumming. I don't know. Because it was very much choose your own adventure, I just kind of went with it, even when I did fail. When I did fail two of the rights because of adding too many Titan stars. I was just like, no. And then I did play safe for when I wanted to make sure I tried to get the story where I wanted it to Let's see. Phoenix 8, Pal playing Cluster Truck, Viz playing some VR. Oh, playing Moss though. I think we're probably gonna go say hi to Viz. And playing a Futurama game. Looks like a PS2 Futurama game. Dan's playing some Elder Scrolls. Many people. Yeah, we're gonna say. Just realized this is the library we see in the end. Oh, I suppose. And there's a reader right down here, just sitting, very dejected as their stuff. Might not have done so if I was streaming to an audience, but at least in personal playthrough. Yeah. Thanks again so much, everyone, for hanging out. I know this Pyre playthrough was substantially different than like any other playthrough of any game I've played, other than like Rakuen, where it was almost entirely story. But I appreciate everyone hanging out with me, enjoying this story together. I really did have a wonderful time with this game. I really love it. But yeah, I will be back tomorrow. We'll be starting off Neo 2. Substantially different game. Substantially different game. Where we're gonna be beating up a lot of heckin' Japanese demons. And it's gonna be dope. And I can't wait. Yeah. Thanks again so much, everyone, for hanging out. I appreciate it. Let's go say hi to Viz. Wish him some luck. And enjoy in his VR endeavors into Moss, which actually looked like a really, really neat VR game. Yeah. Have yourselves a good night. And goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.